welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus, on the forum.
And this is Parker. Go by Dr. Mantis Toboggan, MD, on forums.
This is Jeremy. Currently, if you're following me, it's hashtag COVID won't kill me, but the forums will.
And this is Aaron. Still no forums.
Alrighty. So welcome to the podcast. Our first order of business, as always, we have announcements. Going first today, I can't remember if I've talked about this very recently, but all of our battle reports are now on our YouTube page, which is Infamous MCP on YouTube, and we have over 120 battle reports posted that you could go and check out. And if you prefer to listen to podcasts on YouTube, I'm going to start uploading all of our podcasts as well. A handful of them are on there for samples, but I haven't uploaded our full catalog yet. So I'm going to start getting that up. Secondly, Parker, you have 953 probationary episodes from all the times that you've been bad.
Holy shit.
Or
today,
incorrect, let's be fair, or incorrect.
I mean, that's equivalent to being bad.
That's not the same thing at all. But
intellectually bad still counts.
That's not.
Is he allowed to
not
even talk, Brandon? Is he actually allowed to talk? Have we?
I love that we talked for like 3 minutes about the order of things we were going to do, and then Parker actively violated the order as soon as we started.
Well, add those on. Those are demerits.
I felt like I could comment, but continue.
I felt like I could comment, but continue. Was I the only one that was like, why is Parker going before Jeremy? We just talked about this. Was that just me? Am I crazy?
I didn't know Jeremy. I didn't know we were supposed to weigh in on the fact that I have been an idiot. But let's move forward, I guess.
Wait. Ooh, me next. Me next.
I didn't know this was a topic. I thought.
Do me.
Let's go.
All right. We'll think about this. We'll come up with a punishment later. But currently, I guess we'll tick it down for today. 9:52. Moving on to Parker's segment. Let's see if we can get through this one. Oh. Parker, what's up? Sorry.
Is the reconciliation of this going to also include the fact that I did actually win a bet recently? Is that part of the reconciliation? The bet that the new card pack is a reprint for to allow these cards to be played when the reset happened. I never got that. So I don't know.
What bet are you talking about? I don't see a bet.
Is that the punishment that I lost the bet?
No.
Okay.
No, that's fine. I totally forgot that was officially known, and you were not here last week when we got the information, so I forgot we never resolved it.
I know.
All right, so you bet 250 episodes that the reason that the cards that were in the reprint pack were there was because they were going to do the card cycle. So that's going to knock you down to 702 episodes.
Okay.
There we go. It's going to be a short-lived, low probation episodes count. All right. Moving on to our next segment. Parker, you're up.
News. Okay, we got news this week. The news this week is hot off the press, all about the Winter Guard. We have some information, not the least of which, Crimson Dynamo. We have his card. So Crimson Dynamo, I talked a little bit about whenever it got spoiled a long time ago. We weren't sure what Crimson Dynamo it was going to be. If it was going to be Anton Venkov, who got co-opted by the MCU to be Whiplash, but he was originally the guy who built the suit, all about like hyper-powered electricity. But it's not. It's Dmitry Bukharin, which is the KGB agent who is the last recipient of the armor, and he's also was the leader of the Winter Guard, and he's the leader of the Winter Guard here in the game too. So Crimson Dynamo is a 4-cost character. He moves short. He's got 4/3/4. He has 6 health on the front side. And on the back, he's identical. He's got a beam for his basic attack. It's not a builder. It's a gainer. Is that the way we usually talk about it? Is it gainer?
Yeah, gainer. Yeah. If you get 1 for free automatically.
It's a beam for the gainer with 5 dice, which is super cool, and a wild shock. Homing rockets, which is range 5, 5 dice, cost 2. It's exactly the same as Iron Man's. So it has wild explosive. It ignores LOS and cover. We know what the affiliation for Winter Guard is going to be. They have Unbreakable Red Line. At the start of an allied character's activation, it may remove 1 special condition, and when an allied character is contesting a secure objective and would be pushed, it may roll a dice. On a wild, crit, or block, it is not pushed. Do we want to stop for a second and talk about affiliation, or do we want to
let's talk about the affiliation.
Okay, go ahead.
Jeremy, do you have thoughts?
Wow. I remember 2 years ago talking about Boy, I wish there was a way to just not be pushed. That's cool. It's affiliation. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. He moves slow. I kind of hate him.
Aaron, you got any thoughts?
Oh, lots of thoughts. It's basically a combination of Kingpin, Iron Man, in a red suit. I actually really, really like the affiliation leadership. And that's a personal thing, I understand. The percent chance to get pushed off a secure objective is about 37.5. So it's nothing you can count on. But here's why I like it. Because your opponent is always going to plan like they're not going to get the push. And you're going to plan like you're going to get pushed. So I think this leadership is more of a pain to play into. And I think that gives it a bonus, right? Anytime your team is doing something that the opponent wants to scratch their head and bang their head against a wall about is great, even though you might not see that. It's one reason why Loki is so good, right? You're like, Loki did nothing all game. Your opponent's like, oh my god, Loki ruined all my plans. So I think the affiliation is actually sneaky really good. Not S tier, but I'm excited for it. How about that?
Okay.
I think the pushing thing is excellent, but I think it's gravy. It'll be really fun when it happens, but I actually really like the removing one special condition. And the reason why I love that is personally in this game, I hate it when my character gets a debuff. It's not because it necessarily affects the game. If my short model gets slow, it doesn't actually do anything. I get that. But one of the reasons why I've always loved rapid fire models is because when I get stunned, I don't have to care about it. Because every time I get stunned in this game, I want to just sacrifice an action to remove stun. So, it says ostensibly remove one special condition, but it could also say sometimes get an extra action because you really needed to remove Hex, so you really needed to remove Incinerate, you really needed to remove, Stagger, right? You literally got your action back because Stagger never happened. So I think it's really cool that functionally, if you're playing with Crimson Dynamo, if you have enough characters to be Winter Guard, your whole squad is immune to Stagger, sort of, immune to stun, sort of. If you have lots of debuffs, then you might have to choose. But those really key ones that can wreck a character's whole turn and force them to lose half of their possibilities for that round, it's just gone. I think that's really cool. I think the other bit, like you said, is strong because people will have to wonder if it's going to happen. But I think removing one special condition is not nothing because I'm always thinking about action economy in this game. Can I get all my actions to do something impactful? So I think it's really good.
I agree. I think the removing a condition is actually the better of the two abilities, although I think a lot of people are going to look at this affiliation and think they're the counter control affiliation, but I don't know how true it's going to be. On the plus side, like Aaron was saying, I actually agree. How many people are going to walk up and use webline on you knowing that there's a 1/3 chance it's not going to work? It's going to affect your opponent's decision making, which will probably be the stronger of the effect as opposed to it actually stopping that many pushes. What else does he have, Parker?
So other cool stuff he's got. Overcharge capacitors. He can just immediately gain 2 power as an action. Propulsion thrusters. You can place him within 2 of his current position. That costs 2, so he could immediately spend 1 action to place himself if he didn't already have power for some reason, if he wanted to do that way. Disruption field. It costs 2. When this character or an allied character is targeted by an enemy attack within 3, then you can reroll up to 2 of the attacker's dice. So you're messing with the attacker's dice, not your defensive dice. But it's a defensive power that messes with their attack. And then carborundum. Yeah, I did not read that close the first time I read it. Carborundum Matrix Alloy, which is DR1. And he has flight.
Jeremy, overall thoughts? Is this guy good or is he trash?
Good or trash? I don't.
That's only choices.
I think he's obviously pretty good. Again, I don't like models that are slow. You think? Do we know if he's on a medium base or not?
Yep.
Pretty sure he's on a small based on a picture I saw, but I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure he's on medium.
All right, let me pull it up.
If he's on a medium, then slow isn't half as bad. But man, it's just small bases with slow is just awful.
Yeah, I think I misinterpreted which base he was on. I thought he was on the normal generic flat, but I think I see the ramp on the back. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's on a medium now that I look at that.
Yep.
That's okay. I mean, God help you if you're playing Web Warriors into him. You're like, oh Jesus, okay, I got to rethink this a little bit.
Well, don't forget he's got a range 2 place as well.
Yeah. No, I think
it's a medium. You could see him next to the other characters. It's a medium. Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
But I don't have anything particular. I think he reminds me of he's kind of a mixed bag of things we already know is pretty good. I don't see anything there that's crazy aside from like you were already saying, like he gets rid of stagger for free. He gets rid of all those obnoxious things basically for free and all the dudes he's using. But it's like, what does the rest of his team look like? Kind of what does he bring? Because usually when they have such cool powers and stuff, they don't necessarily bring such great models with them. We'll see.
So if I take a look at him, he's got Visions Builder with Shock, which is not nothing. Places himself and messes with the enemy. You put that on a 4/3/4 chassis, and you automatically have a model who is at least good. The speed short makes him not great, but I would be interested in playing him. How about that?
I think he'll often get to propulsion thrusters, right? Because if he does his beam somewhere, and it's a range 4 beam, right? So if he starts his turn and beams once, then he's probably going to get to propulsion thrusters. He almost like in that way, I think he'll often feel like a hit and run kind of model where he's mobile in the middle of his turn rather than at the beginning, at the end, unless he's has been hit or he's got power some other way. I also love homing rockets. I know it's only 5 dice for a spender, but it only costs 2. It's really far away, and the fact that it ignores everything means sometimes it's fantastic. It does a lot more damage than it should, especially with explosive. The one thing that he notably is missing is that big knockout punch. He does not have, I'm going to spend a whole bunch of power to lay you down. And that is something that on a 4-cost character, I don't know where else that exists actually right now. So one of the things I think is interesting about him is he feels kind of like we made the kind of the Kingpin and the Iron Man, but unlike Iron Man can actually do a giant one hit KO if he's on his backside. This guy can't really. Vision can do an amazing, one of the best spenders in the game. This guy can't do that. So he feels to me more like a Star-Lord actually, with a more aggressively costed Star-Lord in terms of the way he's going to play, which is kind of on the back line probably. Maybe he's a little bit more aggressive than Star-Lord because he can live a little bit longer in the front, but he himself is not going to be doing a whole lot to use his power. The one thing I think is cool is that disruption field. Maybe he uses that a whole bunch. That's how he's going to be able to do a bunch, is because he wants the enemy to be within 3 of him. So if he's up in the mix of things, not like Star-Lord would, more like an Iron Man or maybe a War Machine or a Vision. If he's in the middle, then he's constantly using Disruption Field, and maybe that's how he's spending all of his power. He's constantly getting with electrical blasts and overcharged capacitors. So it is cool to think that your opponent is constantly, if they have cool wild effects and you don't want that to happen, you're like, well, just re-roll all those wilds that you got. If they have cool effects that need crazy combinations like Doctor Strange or Super Giant, you're like, nope, re-roll those things that made your combination work. So there are ways that Crimson Dynamo is going to be disruptive with his power, but it's not going to be removing characters from the field very quickly, because he's going to be making more attacks maybe with his beam, but he's not going to be clocking people in the next week with big dice, like a lot of 4 costs do.
Okay. I'm not super high on this guy. I think he's okay. He's obviously a strong combination of Vision and Iron Man, but yeah, I think he's lacking some of the most important parts of both. He doesn't have any board manipulation like they both have.
0.
And he doesn't have the big heavy hitter. I think the lack of any board control is really what's going to put him in a box. It's hard to justify the cost of a 4-point model that doesn't have the ability to change the board state.
Mm-hmm.
He does generate power, though, which is cool. I think that's going to be the interesting point. I really honestly wish that he was a 4-4-3 instead of a 4-3-4, because he could be amazing on pay-to-flip missions, but having only a 3 energy defense makes it a lot more, and only a speed short makes it really questionable if he can do like the crossing the bridge between 2 points and checking both. But yeah, he feels like he's just going to kind of try and sit on a back point and then rocket people all day, which he can do. I just don't know if that's impacting enough for a 4-pointer.
If he has 3 power, if he has 4 power, he definitely check both, right? Because he can check 1, move twice, thrusters, and definitely reaches both.
But is that enough for a 4-point model?
No. I'm just saying
because like Angela
asked,
can just
Kenny.
obviously Angela's a 5-pointer, but she could just like check two of the front the middle line points for like basically nothing and still have an action left, and so it's costing him a whole lot to do that. I don't know. It's interesting. I will say this: do we know for sure that they only have one leader? Is there any chance there's a second leader in Winterguard?
Well, we do know some things about Winterguard. We have not apparently during Will Schick was doing a painting commentary, and people were asking just tons of questions about Winterguard, and so he was able to respond with some things. He did not mention that any of the other characters have leadership, but he does mention some other things about the faction. For example, Red Guardian's going to be very defensive, kind of like what we expected. Apparently, he's also going to have the ability to reduce enemy abilities. That's what he used, I guess, reduce, which I'm not sure what that means, like to make it like attacks, kind of like Loki, or literally make them worse somehow. I'm not sure.
I would imagine it'd be kind of a tax. If he had the ability to turn off superpowers, that'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah. Ursa Major, which is the bear, is going to be slow moving, very heavy hitter, what we expect. Apparently he can take a lot of damage. He's good at tanking. Tanking is going to be obviously a theme, I think, of this list. It's going to be another Avengers type where they're expected to take a bunch of damage. Darkstar is more of a utility character, but has some damage potential as well. So yeah, it looks like there's a bunch of, they're kind of just get in and take it. Their tactics cards are going to feel more like brute forcey, not like, apparently not like Black Order or Brotherhood, but more about staying, digging in, and being there and not falling down. You're definitely winning by being the last person standing, rather than clocking everybody with big knockout punches. So
in faction indomitable, hoorah!
Yeah, stuff like that.
I'm excited for Ursa Major. I really want another like Black Dwarf-esque character that's just a bully.
Mm-hmm. They said that there's the other characters are there are not going to be a lot of other characters affiliated with them. So if you were really excited about, for example, Colossus is Russian, but they're not going to include him in the faction necessarily just because he's Russian. There could be other models included in the future, but they're more like a splash faction, not to be, like a 10 model deep roster like you see with some other factions. But yeah. So no, we don't know if there's any other leaderships there. They didn't mention it if there was. There are a couple of new things. Speaking of things he mentioned, in Mini Extravaganza, which got delayed, and because of the delay, they actually went ahead and put in some more stuff that was not originally planned to be in there. So there is a new Mini Extravaganza schedule. It did not change. It's the same. Like everything looks the same, except of course new days, which July 14th through 16th, but was originally scheduled is still there. But the content is apparently different. So there's going to be more stuff, different stuff than they were planning on releasing originally, because they have more time, and of course some things have now been spoiled. So now they have other things they want to mention. So rather than just depleting the amount of content they were going to put in Mini Extravaganza, they made up for it and perhaps even added more than they were planning on originally.
I just realized I posted the calendar in the fucking events page. I didn't notice I did that earlier.
Yep. Oh, I thought it was really appropriate. That was perfect.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. That's why I didn't respond.
It is, in fact, an event.
Yeah, it is an event. It happens on days.
That's fair. All right, so...
Me personally...
Do you think that they're...
Go ahead.
Do you think that they're trying to replace Black Order as the drop-in play faction that they used to be by releasing another like small group that likes to play in other people's affiliation lists?
I wish that were true. I just don't think it is. I
think
think
it's just random coincidence that Black Order is on its way out when Winterguard's coming in.
I don't know. I don't think that's
Black
true
Order's
either.
on its way out.
I don't think the genie can ever be put back in the bottle on that one.
Well, not Black Order isn't going to get played in general. Just like the three character package that is inserted into most competitive tournament rosters, is that going to be replaced by Winterguard? Do you think maybe they planned this like 6 months ago? They said, all right, we're going to take away this option, but we're going to replace it with something else.
I don't think so. I wouldn't give them that much credit.
No.
Okay. That's fair. I was just curious.
No, I think
so.
This lined up with the Black Widow movie and all that. I really think that that's what this is about. It lined up and it missed the mark because everything's fucked up because of COVID. because I am a little bit excited to play Red Guardian. I think that was a cool character I saw in MCU.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool, whatever,
Yeah,
you got me.
I think Ursa, Darkstar, and Red Guardian are all going to be like really popular with the consumer base because they're all really cool, interesting characters. I don't know if Crimson Dynamo is going to hit that mark. And the thing that really annoys me about him not having like a big nuke attack is like, why doesn't he have like a capacitor discharge or something, like some kind of like overload attack or something? Like, it seems like right up his alley.
Yeah, well, I think not to be mean, but Crimson Dynamo was always just kind of a punk bitch. Like, he was always somebody, Iron Man backslapped. Like, every time I've ever seen him in a comic, it was always in the first 2 panels of it where he's standing over Crimson Dynamo, and then the plot starts. Because Crimson Dynamo, he just he's on a cell phone call saying, "Yep, I just beat up Crimson Dynamo again. What's actually going on?" Like, that's, I'm not kidding. I think I have 2 different comics that start that way for Iron Man. So, the fact that he doesn't have a big whammy doesn't surprise me. But
well, Jeremy, on reference to you saying that it was like it's just a pushback thing, I think it was said by Schick on the painting stream at some point that originally Heimdall and Scourge were originally supposed to be in the original wave with the other Avengers, but for some reason they got pushed back.
Really?
And so I know that their release schedule is very fluid, and it has only become more so with the advent of COVID pandemics and international supply chain issues.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the Russian wave was scheduled for before the invasion of Russia into Ukraine, and
then they were like, "Oops!"
Well, yeah, because someone spoiled the card pack. There was some spoiling of them coming out months ago, and
that happens.
Nothing.
That happens a lot. It's due to the Asmodee international websites. They upload the upcoming catalog to their retailer page, and then someone who has access to the retailer page spoils it. You can get access to that stuff. Like, almost every time when they announce anything, I go to the Asmodee page for the retailers, and it's already posted. And so, like, if someone's paying attention, you can get stuff a couple days early at minimum.
I'm talking months. This was months ago.
I know. No, the same thing happened with Enchantress and,
okay.
What's her name? Angela. Anyway, so let's move on. Do we want to do... Yeah, let's go and do currently playing. Jeremy, what are you playing currently?
Currently playing COVID. So same as last time. I'm just excited to mess with Steve and Avengers and all the new models, and just kind of I never messed with them before. So now getting everything cheaper and having a bunch of models that are all pretty good is really strange. Like, I'm not having to polish any turds or anything. I'm like, just go get them, boys. So that's what I'm doing.
Did you never touch it before because it was always somebody else touching it? Is that the idea?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, what are you working on?
So since we last spoke, I had played what Jeremy wants to play, 2 games over on TTS. Turns out they weren't quite my play style, so now I'm back to the drawing board. Probably looking at some sort of criminal build heading into the new TTS season.
All right.
When you say criminal, are you leaning towards one or the other, Kingpin, or what are you doing?
So I'm leaning towards Shadowlands, and stop me if I get too long-winded here, but actually we're going to talk later on about like what we're excited to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll save it for then. So Shadowlands, and I'll explain why later.
Parker?
I got to play a couple games with Black Order, and I purposely did not play Thanos, even though I put Thanos in the list, and I went ahead and put both stones on him. Both stones in the list, so I didn't have any restricted cards. I only played with the Mind Stone on Thanos, made the normal mind space, and then put reality on Corvus Glaive. And I purposely, both games, played the Corvus leadership. So Corvus and Proxima were my 8-pointer instead of Thanos being my 8-pointer. And it was a ton of fun. I had a lot of fun playing him. I was playing a new guy who's only played a couple games, and I purposely played it because I didn't know any of the characters. I think I played Corvus Glaive and Proxima once. I think I played Thanos once. But everything else was new to me, and a lot of the cards I were using were totally new. So we were learning a bunch during our games, and the first game it went definitely my way. Just attrition was really favored me. He never got his. He was playing Midnight Suns, and he never got his thing to start. It never showed up. On the second game, his attrition showed up, and so it was really an attrition slugfest back and forth. But it is really cool to play 4 models and feel like I wasn't going to automatically lose. And that was really unusual because normally when I play 4 models in this game, I feel like I'm automatically going to lose. But the 4 I'm talking about specifically are Black Swan with a Power Stone, Black Dwarf, Corvus with a Reality Stone, and Proxima. They just refuse to die. They are really they die very slowly, and they sell their lives dearly. None of them are weak on the strike back. They can all just wreck. So it was really cool playing with no restricted cards and just playing whatever I wanted to with the characters and stuff. It was fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun bruisery list.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gotten to play a game since the spoilers came out, or the rotation was officially announced. I'm still planning on playing the Convocation. I've cut Juggernaut from the list, but I don't know who to replace him with. It's still kind of up in the air. I'm gonna think about it some more tonight. Swapped out some tactics cards as well. I'm still not happy with how Magic's performing, and it's to the point now where I think it's affecting me putting her in squads, and so I should probably just go ahead and cut her, I think is the logic there. Is if I don't trust her to perform, then I'm never going to pick her over the other 3-pointers. But maybe I can just play knowing and force myself to play her and see if she does well, and maybe it was a bad sample size. But every time I put her on the table, she seems to do nothing.
Go ahead.
I said, who are your other 3-pointers?
I have Mordo, Clea, and Hood. So I think she performs a role there that is different than those 3 at least. Because she's kind of like a melee version. And so like you could argue that Hood kind of fills that space, but he's not affiliated. I don't know.
Yeah,
the problem is she has bad matchups on the table, right? Like if you put her against somebody who doesn't want to fight at close range, she's very limited.
Every time I played against her, I felt like she did almost nothing and died. In various ways. It's not like I've always countered her with this great counter. I played various lists and people put her on the table all the time, and her card through Limbo didn't really impact the game, and herself didn't really impact the game. It was just fine, and I was playing something that was better than fine, so she felt very inconsequential. I built a Convocation list yesterday, and it did not have her in it because I don't think I want to play her. Maybe she actually might work better in X-Men. I think she might actually work better there because teleporting might be better with Storm, but that's just a thought.
But now that Herbs is off the table, it really doesn't. I mean, her journey through Limbo is really, really cool at the right time, but now that Herbs isn't a thing, like, really, it's not a have-to kind of thing.
Yeah, I was using it to kind of bridge the gap between Strange having to scalpel people, and so I thought it was pretty good at that. Also, she can be really aggressive in the middle turns, like turn 3, turn 4, where she can, as soon as your opponent activates an important model, she can double move, journey them, they get incinerated, and they're in a bad position, and they can't do anything about it immediately. And you might just end up sacrificing Magic, but even if they daze her, then she's coming back hitting super hard on the backswing was the thought. It hasn't played out that way yet. But it might be that I'm just not utilizing her correctly.
She has the best builder in the game for a 3-threat. I think it's on you now.
It's possible.
You think it's better than X-23? I don't think it's better than X-23's.
In what way is it not better than X-23? It's the exact same, except it's Mystic instead of physical.
Mystic is worse than physical, I think.
Ooh.
Mystic is better than physical. It's worse than energy by the math I've looked at.
I concur with Brandon.
Now, there are times when you go against somebody who's got like innate Mystic 6, and then it's slightly worse, but that's a pretty obviously bad matchup you should try to avoid.
And I actually wouldn't care so much about the type as it is the reroll. I think the reroll means a lot. I think the fact that she gets reroll every time for free is the reason why it's slightly better. No, the builder, sure. Just the attack, I think you're correct. Just the attack. But on X-23 builder or Magic's builder, I think it's X-23. But that's my personal opinion.
The reroll's nice, but Magic's getting a reroll a lot of the time too. From the Convocation.
In Convocation, you're right. There it is. That should seem good then. So what's wrong? Why isn't she wrecking face?
A lot of people just kind of avoid her, so she kind of just stands on a point, and she's not ranged, and so she has a 4 dice gainer that's energy. so it's fine, but then she's forced off of the objectives to do anything impactful, as where like Mordo or Clea can do stuff at range that's actually useful, same with Hood. And so, I don't know, it just ends up being weird, because she's not sturdy enough to put in the middle, but she's too fragile, or she's too close range to sit on the end. And so, I don't, she just ends up in a weird spot a lot of the time.
That does,
and it might just be that she doesn't synergize with my list.
It does,
but I think I'm going to try her a couple more times.
It does make sense, because I feel totally fine putting X-23 right in the middle of everything, especially if Honey Badger's there, because I feel they're not going to be able to remove her before X-23 does something awesome. That's
a 5-point kit, and she's a 3-point model.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big difference.
Well, I'm not saying I don't. Honey Badger can be there, but I don't think she has to be. I think she's going to do fine. Exceptional healing is the thing that keeps her from getting one-turned, and so it works pretty well. But again, I haven't played Magic, so maybe her teleport is just as good. So,
alrighty. So let's go move us into our main topic. Today we are talking about what we are all excited to play first with the new meta, being that the cycle has happened and the new restricted list is out. So Jeremy, what are you most excited to try and build?
I think the most important thing of all of it is building lists. Now we can look at things and say field dressing is gone. So what does that open up with building, and what can you do, and like where does the middle of the game look like now, instead of the middle of the game being I downed an important model and it just stands right back up full of power and blows you apart. So with that said, I'm excited about all things. Like, I think everything is interesting now. Like, I feel like it opens all doors. It makes Midnight Suns look attractive again, because I mean, they can get to you. They can actually kill things and they'll stay down. The healing isn't where it used to be. Sacrifice is a card that you may or may not take, being that it's restricted. There's just all kinds of things with attrition that are available. And I'm not going to pin anything down right now. I'm just not there yet. I'm just excited about everything. That's really where I'm at.
Okay.
So I was kind of on Jeremy's same wavelength in terms of excited about everything. That was a little bit of a problem for me, though. So I went to take my 7 days before I have to submit a TTS roster, playing in the season for the first time. And I had lots of great ideas about what could work. Right? Tall lists are great. Oh, tall lists are bad. Play wide. Play healing factor people. Play control. Oh, attrition's the new thing. Bottom line is, no one knows right now. There are 1,000 different things that could be great. Like, there is no meta, or defined meta, if you will, right now. So my competitive playstyle up till now has been very control-esque, Kingpin Criminals in particular, with a Shadowlands splash based on the matchup and crisis selection. So that's what I was familiar with. So I played 2 games of Steve Avengers, and did not go well. That does not mean Steve Avengers aren't good, and I have played them before as a more control list. I wanted to try them out with Strange and Heimdall. Just didn't work out for me. So rather than pick something that I might be interested in, have a bad experience, and not know whether that experience is because I am playing them poorly, or the meta completely changed, and I have no idea, I didn't want to pin my losses and poor play on something new. So I decided to go back and continue to play Criminals, probably prioritizing Shadowlands, and just see how they play, because they're a known factor. So I stepped out in this new world after AMG launched their update, and was just blown away with all the possibilities, and then got scared, and retreated back into my happy place and my Criminals. It's really what happened.
You came out of your shell, and you were super excited, and then the sun was hot and brutal, and so you went back into the shell.
Yes. So that's where I'm at right now. I love the world we're living in, and I want to experience it through what my opponents are playing. And I'm sure I'll come up with a lot of other fun lists in the next 2 months. But for now, it'll be some version of Criminals taking forward.
When are lists due?
On Friday, in 2 days.
Okay.
It's like, what a brave new world other people will experience instead of me.
Well, it'll only be until he goes 0-2, and then he can play whatever he wants.
Yeah. What do you mean 0-2 and play whatever you want? Don't you have to stick to the same list?
Once you've got 2 losses, your list is unlocked.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
It might be 3 losses, but yes, once you hit a certain level, you can do anything.
Once you're out of the running, they let you do whatever you want.
That's kind of fun.
You enter the casual bracket.
Yeah. Basically, it's functionally like a scheduled, like an arranged CAS play. I get it. It's cool. That's a cool feature. I like that. I actually was, I was eyeballing Black Order. Even though I played them, I talked about how I played them. I wanted to see how much really having stones in there was actually going to affect people like Thanos, and I don't actually think it affects them very much because of the leveling you guys are talking about. I think people are like, oh, cool, Reality Stone was hit, and Space Stone was hit, so we're not going to see Thanos and Corvus Glaive. And I think that's absolutely true. People overreact to nerfs. They see nerfs and they go, oh man, it's got to be bad now because they nerfed it. There's got to be things that are better and higher on the curve. And I still think it's actually not true. I was looking at the game going, is there anything better than Thanos with this with the Space Stone and Corvus Glaive with the Reality Stone? Is there any one of the cards I have left that are going to be better than that? And I absolutely would have said that in another faction. So dropping them in as a splash doesn't work. But then, of course, they gave them like 5 new tactics cards, and they're pretty good. And they had old ones that nobody played because they were always a splash faction. And so I was like, let's take all these old tactics cards that said Black Order on them and dust them off and see what happens, and put them with these new cool characters like Supergiant and Black Swan and see what happens. And so I feel like they don't miss a beat as their own faction right now. So what I'm excited to do is Black Order. The thing I don't know what to do with them is with what. I have no idea what goes in as the last 3 models. I think they work great as a package. I'm still trying to figure out if Black Swan should have a Power Stone. I think maybe she shouldn't, actually. Maybe she does better with Power Stone in other factions, but with Corvus Glaive's leadership, she always had power. I don't know if she ever actually needs, 2 extra power a turn. I don't think
you played her with the stone, though, right?
I played her with the stone. And
did you feel like she had an excessive abundance?
No, she actually, that's true. She spent it all. Like, she always was spending down to 0. So, I only had 2 games with her, and I don't think they're a great sample size because in both of them, her I-beam, she did so many I-beams between like her regular attack and her spinner. She was constantly using her spinner, and her spinner was clocking people before she could I-beam them, and so she was just knocking them down, or throwing them and doing the one last damage or whatever. So the just her attack killed them, or she was constantly charging and I-beaming and doing no damage. I just randomly rolled 0 hits on like 4 I-beams over the course of those games. Now, it was causing Incinerate because you don't have to do damage for it. So it did do something. But I was constantly spinning her power on things like her spinners and charging, and I don't think I needed to. I actually think I just needed to charge into her basic attack a bunch, and then she could have had plenty of power. The fact that she can move Black Dwarf is awesome, because Black Dwarf can be out of position. He can be, or be made to be out of position, and when you want him there, he just all of a sudden is, which is amazing. His big ass base. She had such a huge realm where she could be actively participating, and you wanted to wail on her, but Black Dwarf was right there taking the hits and then swinging back like a Mack truck. Anyway, I've talked a lot about them, but I think the other thing about Black Order is they are the natural predator for both Shadowlands, I think, and Shield. And I think people are going to gravitate towards Shadowland and Shield because Daredevil and Fury are so pushed, and I think both of those factions are designed to be fed upon by Black Order, either Corvus or Thanos. Both of them do well, so I'm really excited to see that.
I don't really think that's true, though. I think Black Order might be good into Shadowlands, but I think they're bad into Shield, because if basically Nick Fury is going to get the same victory points that Thanos is getting off the Grunt. So the Grunt is a net neutral, because if the Black Order goes ahead by getting that point, Shield is just leapfrogging ahead as well.
Oh, I think it's actually not Thanos. I think it's actually Corvus Glaive that probably gets the most benefit from it.
Do you think just having power makes up for the victory point deficit?
Yeah, because it just becomes even, right? I think from what I've played with Fury so far, and maybe somebody can play them totally differently, but their in-faction models are all kind of attrition heavy. None of them have fantastic scenario play. They don't throw. Like as a faction, they just can't, unless you're playing She-Hulk. And if you're playing She-Hulk against my Black Order, I feel great because wailing on She-Hulk just sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
So since they have a lot of 3-pointers and none of them control me, Black Order just gets to sit there and wail on them, and Black Order out attritions that attrition list. I think the strength of shields after playing them a bunch is actually focusing on the attrition and letting the credible power of that dumbass leadership to get you victory points and keep you in the game while you're focusing on attrition and losing in the victory point race. And then also your grunt is just doing really dumb things by functionally hoarding one point and never letting your opponent have it easily, either by Nick Fury picks it up and then relocates, or the little grunt has it himself, and then you can never functionally get it from them unless you have a really strange list. Thanos is one of those models that can actually grab the grunt and bring it to him so far that it doesn't matter that he can place it, that the shield player can place it after I kill him. It's too far away from you. So Thanos actually has some play against the grunt. And if you don't do it that way, you could do Corvus Glaive, and just if you get a mosh pit in the middle or a big attrition fight that shield usually feels good about, I think Black Order out attritions them. I think they do. I don't know how it would actually go down in a fight. I think it would be close, but I think Black Order has a slight advantage.
Okay, I'd like to see that. I think it's what you're describing is probably more true after the cycling than it was before.
Yes.
But even without herbs, I think it's still kind of uphill because they get such an early game advantage. But I'd like to see it played out.
Yeah. I also want to say, hot take, I don't think they're done with Thanos yet.
Yeah, that's true.
I think
would like to see. I want to see if there's anything we haven't seen yet, and I know there's news coming, but I don't know if we're done seeing updates yet. And I really hope we're not, because I want to see Voodoo and Black Cat get their fucking comeuppance as well.
Yeah, I think that's coming. I think that the world we live in, like one of the best ways to stop Corvus from murdering your whole army is fucking field dressing, and that's gone. So that really hurts.
Yeah, Black Order, I will say, Corvus Glaive led Black Order in a world without field dressing and medpack. All my damage was just sticking to them, and they were just going down. And I was not, because I have Black Swan turns wilds to blanks, and Corvus has the Reality Gem plus DR, and Black Dwarf and has DR and Deep Health, and Proxima Midnight has Martial Discipline and DR. So I was losing, Martial Prowess. I was losing health much slower than my opponent was. And they had no get out of jail free cards. But Shield does have one, so that's not nothing. Shield kind of has two, so that's probably not nothing. Actually, the fact that they have those great, tactics cards that help them with attrition so much. So
you're describing the great debate in the MCP universe right now. I think I've actually come down on the opposite side, which is the models who benefit the least from these changes are those with higher health pools and DR. Magneto, Corvus, Iron Man, take your pick. The people who you loved to med pack before, right? So killing an 11 health Thanos was a lot harder than killing an 8 health Thanos. I think Thanos dies easier now. Corvus dies easier. So
yeah, that's probably true.
You're right. It's all the damage that they do is going to stick, but the people for whom the damage was harder to get on benefited the most from health. Like 3 health on Thanos was worth more than 3 health on a character without his invulnerability.
I think everyone would have to agree that there's less margin for error now. Like, the people that Thanos and Corvus are attacking are kind of just like faceless people in the crowd, because they're trying to kill everyone. But everyone is trying to kill them. And that is very important when you can't make your most important piece live much longer. I think that is definitely going to be more impactful.
I still think...
Go ahead.
I still think that the lists that were most impacted were the lists I was playing, like with Kingpin. If you weren't trying to do damage, if all you were trying to do was live, I don't think the game supports that style anymore. So you can't just take Black Order on the chin with shield and hope to live long enough to win the game. You've got to be able to daze them in a sort of an attrition-based fight. Now, you can bring some control, and you can throw people off points. You can still win in a scenario. Control is still strong. But survival is no longer a path to victory, I don't think.
Yeah.
If that is in fact true, bravo. Like, that is exactly where the game should be.
Well, the problem with, like, we're talking about generic models that get played now, and people were already positioning for field dressing, and people positioning for field dressing are also going to be positioned for patch up. So you're just going to have to be more proactive about getting your health pools back, because, like, it's not going to be impossible for, like, Proxima or Corvus to walk up to Thanos and say, heal 5, bro, and now you're back in the same position you were in before. But you're not going to have patch up and both the stones you wanted. And so that's where the restricted list becomes most impactful. And as far as the shield versus Black Order matchup specifically, if you're building an attrition-based shield list, you only need, 2 shield models to make that list? Because you've got the initiative card?
Kind of, yeah. Because the initiative doesn't give you... It just gives you shield for the other cards. It gives you
the shield keyword after list selection,
Yeah,
though?
after. So it doesn't...
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do still need 3 shield members.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't... I actually stopped running it because even on... You think like really cool characters that would want like MODOK or somebody like that would want access to it. It didn't work. Like spending 1 tactics card does not... Okay. Just so you can use the other tactics cards wasn't good enough.
Okay.
I will say this though, even though I like Black Order, I'm having fun exploring them now. As soon as my Shadowlands model gets back from my painter, I'm going to be playing that because now that people can't make the game longer, I'm just going to be playing that Shadowlands list. I played it, several, almost like 2 months ago, but I'm waiting for my models, and we're going to be just shooting lots of bullets.
Yeah. I guess for me, what I'm excited to play, I'm not really excited to build new lists. I'm having a lot of fun with the Convocation still, and so I'm excited to see how the list evolves with the new meta. I think Convocation are still in a pretty good spot, because they didn't rely too heavily on those specific cards. I've been playing without field dressing for a month now, so I'm excited that nobody else will be allowed to use field dressing against me.
You know what I'm most excited for? Is the Hulk and She-Hulk cannot be field dressed. Those are the 2 models that I hate.
That was definitely like the biggest kick in the junk. It was just like, oh, Hulk has 1 hit point and I have priority. Oh, you suck, idiot. I'm going to kill your Hulk. Is like he gets a daze token. And you're like, oh no. Yeah. And then it's like he goes last and kills a bunch of people and lives the next turn. Oh, it was so dumb.
I am so excited. And point of fact, you talk about like models that were hit really hard. I think those 2 models may have been hit the hardest. I know there are lots of people that could say otherwise, and I would probably agree with them. But I think A-Force became a lot worse without field dressing, like a lot worse. But maybe I'm wrong. I feel like they did.
Well, again, like we were talking about earlier, models that are, tent poles for their affiliations or lists or squads in general are much weaker now because you have less resources to pour into keeping them alive. Mm-hmm. And so anytime you can make their immortal models mortal again, it's a huge swing in the way the game plays.
I was another faction, kind of like Jeremy's, where he said he hasn't been playing because everybody else has been playing it, is I actually looked at Brotherhood again after our conversation about what Mystique can do. Because if you don't always want to run Magneto, if Magneto is not always the answer, because if you see like a really heavy attrition list, maybe Magneto's too fragile. But if you see something like a control list, you can drop him and try to eat the world because they can't live a long time. But Mystique and go wide in Brotherhood could be really cool too against somebody who's going to try to attrition you, and maybe they just can't get through all the models before you win. I don't know.
I don't know that they outscore you effectively, but if they're doing a really narrow list, it's definitely possible. I think Wide Brotherhood is perfectly fine. They're just not as good as like Wide Web Warriors or Wide Criminals or anything like that. So
right.
If you're trying to be really aggressive on scenario play, that's a bit rough. But they are good at playing wide.
Right.
So if all you're worried about quantity is, they do it just fine.
Well, I mean, it's the Brotherhood. I was thinking like I think Brotherhood might be interesting because it has the variability. The models are so like the strategies feel so wide with them, right? They feel like we just said the word wide like 8 times, but I made like there's lots of different ways you can take the same models when you put them down on the table. You could be like, okay, well, this list is going to be four models that are all really big and super efficient at killing yours. I'm going to go stack up pretty tall. Or this game, I'm going to play 6 models that all do this individual job really very well. And as long as I apply each one to their little puzzle piece, they fit in. All the pieces, dominoes are going to fall for me. It's
versatile
cool.
strategy defines them very well.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have a shit ton of specific character cards, which are really good.
Yeah.
So they could care less.
Brotherhood's got the deepest roster of cards of any affiliation.
Yeah, I built a roster with 7 characters, and I was like, let's get started to see what I do. 7 characters, and then I put 7 tactics. I was like, let me just put the tactics cards that I could take, and I had 11 before I put in a generic one with 7 characters. I was like, okay, huh. Well,
the Brotherhood list I took to Adepticon had 7 character-only cards in it.
Yeah. I think I ended up with 5 character cards and 2 Brotherhood cards, and then I kept list building. But I was like, man, that's pretty cool problem to have.
Once Rogue was released, I mean, Brotherhood became a complete faction. I mean, everything else fell into place. I mean, you had Avengers, which was complete. You now have Brotherhood that's complete. No one's going to argue that they don't have the tools. I mean, they're just solid.
The problem I ran into is the only thing they tend to be the best at is like the go tall, run down the middle list. And so anytime you're forced out of that plan, you always feel like you're on the back foot, which is probably important that they do feel that way, because if they were able to do both styles and be the best at it, that'd be a real problem. But yeah, I felt like I kept running into like Sam Spam and Criminals, and they just didn't have an answer for those 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
But the meta is very different now than it was then.
I think my final thing that's guiding me right now is, before I was attrition leaning, but I wanted an answer for a scenario. Now I'm just attrition. I just want to just kill them. I just want to see if that's good enough without the ability, because when my opponent can't med pack to take their model out of the danger zone, or now that they can't field dress to just bring them back and make their super awesome model wreck my list, I just want to see how hard I can attrition.
Mm-hmm.
If I stick with Shadowlands as my primary, this will be the first time in my MCP career that I will have ever focused on attrition versus anything else. Embracing the dark side.
Welcome to I was about to say welcome to the dark side.
Yeah. It's fun here. We have pretzels. I like it.
Yeah.
I just want the salt for my opponent's tears.
Yeah. That's what we use for the pretzels.
Okay, great.
Yeah. If given enough time, everyone chooses violence. All right, Parker, do you want to do a comic corner for us? You have one written down here.
Oh, yeah. So I have actually been, in my forced hiatus, I have been reading a ton of comics. So my comic corners are stacked, juiced to the gills. And the one I wanted to mention was the newest run of the Hulk, called The Immortal Hulk. I don't want to kind of point out one particular issue or one graphic novel. I think you can just kind of start at the beginning of the run, because it's just a super awesome concept. Al Ewing is currently the guy who's writing it, and there's a bunch of different artists are contributing to it, but Al Ewing is writing this big arc, basically answering the question of why is it that the Hulk, and Bruce Banner specifically, has been killed so many times, and pretty much everyone who has gamma radiation has been killed a bunch of times. And every time they come back, not only do they invariably get resurrected, but they all come back a little bit different than they did before. After they experience this trauma, they always seem to come back radically different. And it used to be explained by, well, Bruce Banner, we thought the Hulk was just like his inner demon, or maybe the fact that he is so puny and it kind of comes out as this dumb brute as opposed to the smart weakling. It was just kind of the opposite. But then he comes back as a gangster, and then he comes back as a super smart guy, and then he comes back as someone who's very clever and very wily, but obviously not Bruce Banner or Joe Fixit or the original Brute. So does he have multiple personality disorder? And that's always been kind of the way it's been written for a long time. Then Al Ewing gets a hold of this issue for the Immortal Hulk, and he says, what if, instead of these things just being multiple personality disorder, what if this is actually a factor of being irradiated? Gamma radiation in its incredible intensity not only it bends space and time, but it actually has paranormal effects even, and that the Hulk didn't inherit just gamma radiation. He also inherited this ability to functionally never die. But when you die, you go to this afterlife that only gamma irradiated creatures can inhabit, and it's if you can walk back through what's called your green door. And each gamma radiated individual has their own green door. And when they come back, they always come back a little bit different because they bring something with them, or they learn something in that paranormal realm that only gamma creatures can inhabit when they die. But they're unaware of it. When they pass through the green door, they forget about it, but they do bring something with them. So basically, it explores this idea that gamma radiation is not just sci-fi; it's also fantasy. And the Hulk and the whole Hulk family is learning about the red doors and what this means to be truly immortal. The gamma creatures can't die. And all of them, of course, dealing with the ramifications of that. Also, Al Ewing is very much a horror writer. He writes in very much a horror genre. So the Hulk you see in this, he doesn't, when he transforms, for example, the artistry is really cool. He doesn't just like go from little guy to big guy, just bulk up like bloom, 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 like Mario. He actually like, it's a very grotesque thing where his bones are breaking and arms are coming out of places where there aren't arms. And like several times, like he kind of like he splits Banner open like Banner is a skin that Hulk is inside, and Banner just kind of explodes pinata. And Hulk comes out. Yeah, it's like a pinata or a nesting doll, a grotesque nesting doll. And so he really goes into the super grotesque. So if you like the Hulk, but you wanted to see it taken a different direction, or if you like the grotesque, if you like horror kind of as a genre, there's a lot of psycho suspense in it as well. It's really interesting. It is a totally different Marvel comic than I think I've ever read. I don't particularly like the genre choices that he's making because I'm not a big horror or grotesque fan, but I am glued to it because of how different it is and how unusual it is for the Marvel universe. And so really cool stuff about Banner, his extended family, gamma, and creatures in general, and it even goes into like super cool sci-fi about the end of the universe, right? So like if the Hulk truly is immortal, what does that mean for the Hulk if he lives forever? What happens at the heat death of the universe? Will there still a Hulk? What is the Hulk doing then? It answers all kind of interesting questions. It's cool stuff.
Okay, cool. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Is there anything that's been riding around in your heads before we end the show?
I just want to know something. Is part of my punishment from not being here in the last episode that I don't know what's going to happen to me? Because that is much worse than any actual I really don't like that you haven't decided yet. If you did decide that part of the punishment was not telling me what was going to happen, if that's what you decided, that was Machiavellian and genius. So I suppose the last thing I wanted to say was, well done, because the fact that you didn't tell me today is much worse than anything you could have done, just so you know. Well done.
Well, I mean, if the plan was to not tell you, I couldn't tell you that we planned to not tell you.
I understand that. I just want all of our listeners to know how much I respect your mind games, and I'm not going to sleep as well.
Jeremy, do you remember what his last punishment was?
Oh, it was a lot. I don't remember. It was a good one.
It was a lot. I remember it was a silly amount.
I'd say we go to the tapes, but there are a lot of tapes now. What are like 80
tapes now? I'm not listening to 80 episodes to figure out how many. I mean, we'll just round it out to 1,000.
Well, I thought it was obvious. Kind of like when I'll be at work and my day cook is wondering why there's another day cook working with them, and I'm like, hey, will you please train so and so, because I'm just trying to get someone trained, and then I fire the other guy.
No, you're trying to replace me.
Yes. So I didn't know it was, I thought it was obvious just what was going on, but we'll just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should let Aaron decide. Maybe Aaron is the voice. Maybe you guys can't seem to come to consensus.
Don't you try and bring normal common sense rationale into this conversation.
I'm just saying, he doesn't seem to have an opinion on it, and I think he should. He's a member of the podcast, right? Is this did he sign the paper?
Well, the fact that he's not someone who hates you means that he should not make this decision.
Wait a minute. What? Hold on. So you're saying that the fact that we've got Aaron on the cast now and he has no bones to pick with me is just too destabilizing to deal with? You can't
That's
manage it?
It's like if you've got a death row inmate and you're like, and you just walk up to a person, guard, should we kill this person? They'd be like, no, like obviously, but like that's not the situation we're in.
No. There's a lot of history here.
So you think me missing a podcast is kind of like capital punishment? You think
Yes.
the crime I committed is kind of like if, I committed a capital crime, and somebody with, some amount of common sense might not want to kill me?
I'm just saying someone without all the facts and knowledge of just being
right.
around you.
The facts and knowledge that someone would need to kill someone else. Okay, got it. Oh. I just want to make sure
Just
we're
for
on
the
the same
record, if
page.
somebody ever asks me that in a crowd, you're not going to like the answer.
Yeah, don't ask Brandon anything like that. Brandon, I would never, ever, ever let you answer like one of those like random reporter walk-ups when people they walk up, they're like, "Hey, would you like to tell me something about U.S. geography?" I'd be like, "No, walk away from this
Don't
man.
talk to this
Don't
person.
walk away from this man. He will not be a good test for you. You will not enjoy this.
He's a bad control group.
He is not your king. Walk away.
Hmm.
You will not enjoy this."
Well, I can definitely say that I'm excited for all the upcoming events in the Midwest. I'm going to try and travel to as many of them as possible. For example, I'm going to Melee at Shiloh, which is on the 23rd of July. Pretty excited for that one. And then the following week, pretty much all of us but Parker are going to the all new, all different tournament in Omaha. So, and then it's just going to keep rolling out after that, I think. Oh, that's true. We have a tournament this Saturday at the Geekery. So if you're local and listening, we have a tournament this Saturday. It's a warm-up tournament for the Show Me Showdown, which is the following week.
So
by the way-
warm up for the 8th. Does that mean we can play Heimdall early?
No.
Oh, so not quite a warm up.
Well, it is a warm-up.
When does
You're
Heimdall
not
come
going to be
out?
able to play Heimdall either.
I'm just saying
'Cause-
Heimdall will be legal for the Show Me Showdown on the 8th.
He will be legal, but how are you going to get one? I'm going to lose all of the Heimdalls.
Fair enough.
We should all just take a moment and just recognize how good we have it right now. Like, right now. This game is so awesome, and we don't have to play with Heimdall yet. It's so great. And then the Heimdall's going to come out, and it's going to ruin the game.
Wow.
I don't think he is. He's
That is
not.
that is
I
hardcore
know.
doomsaying.
I don't want to play Steve Avengers with Heimdall at half the tournaments. It's just going to be so frustrating.
So what I'm excited for right now is no more new releases. Like, I know there was a dearth of releases for a while, but now I look at the release schedule, and I don't know how much time I'm going to have left to, like, paint every single model coming out, and I'm retired. I mean, come on. How about, like, 3 boxes a month for the next 6 months and call it good, instead of the 40 or so that are right now planned?
Say 3 a month. Let's see, we've got 6 months left this year. 18 boxes? I think that sounds about right. I think that's what we'll get. I don't think it'll come at 3 a month. We'll get 1 month with 5 and 1 month with 0 and 1 month with 4. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, in 2 weeks when Mini Extravaganza happens, that will tell us what we want to know. But not much we can do till then.
Right. I just think there needs to be some time for people to play with the new models before newer stuff comes out.
Yeah, I generally think their release schedule was a bit aggressive, but the last year has been much more mellow because I don't know if it's because of COVID or because of other issues, but it seems to have slowed down to a reasonable pace now. And I'm happy with where it's at. If anything, I think it should slow down just a little bit more. Because I like to really let things mature, and if you're constantly dumping new shit on it, it's too much, and it never settles. And I like it to settle a little bit.
Right. I mean, the next 3 weeks have, the Asgard, followed by, Malekith, followed by Winterguard, followed by Shield and Hydra. And that's just 3 months of,
What?
You thought you had a meta? Let's just add some new ingredients and stir it all up.
Yeah.
I
think
thought every release has done that to the meta, right? Some releases have done jack and shit, right?
Yeah, like remember Inhumans? Nobody does.
Whoa.
And I don't care that...
He said he was sorry.
Who did? Oh, Black Hole did. I see.
I don't need a static meta for a year. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say.
Right.
I think, Brandon, you and I are on the same page. Let it percolate a little bit. Find some Find some good strategies, and once it starts to set, just like a good gelatin, and then you mix it up again.
Yeah. It's like there's War Machine this year, and then there's War Machine like 2 years ago when they were releasing every fucking thing they could put their hands on, and now they just like, I don't know, I think they're bankrupt. I can't remember what happened. Aaron, what happened? Are they still a company?
Yeah, they're still releasing. There's going to be a huge announcement here the next month or so.
Has anything come out this year for War Machine?
No.
It's been, what, like a full calendar year now, right? Without a release?
For War Machine proper or for the Riot
For
Quest
War
models?
Not Riot Quest yet.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Check. I don't want that. I just want, like, nice, reasonable... Honestly, one box set a month is probably where I think we need to get to in the next year or two. And any more than that, I think you're just drowning people in releases. There's going to be... It's going to be, like, severe model bloat, I feel like. But we'll see. Maybe I'm crazy.
I mean, I prefer like 3 boxes in 1 month and then nothing, and then 3 the next.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you.
Averaging 12 to 20 boxes in a year, I think, is pretty happy.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that.
But if they go too slow, then they're losing out on revenue. So I get it. All right, here, help me out. Who should I add to this stupid fucking roster?
Hold on, is this now other ramble? Is that what we're on right now?
This is the post ramble.
Okay, got it. Go for it.
All right. So obviously Doc Voodoo is going to get banned, so I'm not going to be able to play him. So assuming I have to replace Voodoo, no,
he's not.
Yeah. So I have Sorcerer Supreme, Ebony Maw, Doc Voodoo, Blade, Baron Mordo, Clea, Magic, Hood, and Wong.
Mysterio. It's a 3-pointer. I think it's good enough.
I don't hate Mysterio, but you'd be trading one of my more mobile 3-pointers for the least mobile 3-pointer.
Are you always playing Maw instead of Juggernaut?
Yes, I was never playing Juggernaut outside of Herbs. I played him in like 1 or 2 games. I did not like how it felt. There was very little synergy. He's a good model, but Ebony Maw has synergy where Juggernaut does not. If that was what I wanted, is just a fast elite model, I would take Ghost Rider, which I considered adding.
I think Juggernaut stock goes up so much with Indomitable going restricted. You can win games on that.
That's not a terrible argument.
And the fact that he gives a lot of mobility to do the scenario stuff that Convocation has trouble with, so that your other team can fight. And he's got 5 Mystics, so he still benefits on Book's turn. I think he synergizes really well. He just costs a lot. But if my opponent is running a model that moves short and they don't bring Indomitable, like, oh my god, yeah, I'll slot Juggernaut in, and in turn 2, that bitch is on the far side of the table.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels not worth it to me, but I see that argument. It makes sense.
But if you don't like it, don't do it. You still have Blade, right?
Yeah, I still have Blade. So 5s are Strange and Maw, 4s are Voodoo and Blade, 3s are Mordo, Clea, Magic, Hood, and 2s are just Wong. I was thinking about adding a second 2 for a while because I like taking Wong so much. I'm really hesitant to take him out in some lists. But I just need to be less afraid to cut him for a 4-pointer. Because obviously Blade and Mordo are both very good. I also thought about adding Enchantress, so I had another 4-point option. And just leaving Magic.
Enchantress is a really strong idea. I like that one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the problem is trying to justify Enchantress over Voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty easy. Not easy. It's fine if you're not running a single extract mission. I think Voodoo's stock goes down to where he's solid, but not an auto take.
You think Voodoo's stronger in single extracts?
Yes.
I thought Enchantress would be stronger in a single extract.
So Enchantress's problem is it costs an action, and she can't move herself. So all she can do is move once, bow them towards her if they're in range. If not, she moves twice, bow and steals. Or sorry, she can't move twice. She moves, bows, steals, and she's sitting there in the middle of their army. Voodoo, at range, says, just drop it now.
Sure, he does it from further away, but he can't necessarily pick it up at that said long range. He certainly does it from further. How much does her steal cost? Is it 2 or 3?
I think it's 3.
It is 3. Oh, no. Yeah, it's 3. I didn't remember she had 6 fucking superpowers. Jeez.
So a lot of it comes down to if you're going to think you're going to get more use out of her bow. If you do, then I think she's a lot stronger than Voodoo in most situations.
I really like that she has the has to spend power to attack me thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. It's not as good as Maw's because she has 2 energy defense as well and doesn't get to dodge.
What are your restricted cards? Are you using Brace?
Yes, Brace Patch Up, I believe.
As I say, I still like Mysterio because I think his card is fantastic as well.
Yeah, it's good. I don't know that he gets the power to play it very early, so it's kind of late. Yeah, Brace Patch Up, Bar with No Doors, Plane of Poldock, Ironbound Books, Shush, Hood's Gang, Journey, and I took out Do You Know Who I Am for the Books of Cagliostro, and then I have Escort to Safety I added in as well. Because of my other restricted card I had to drop was Indomitable.
Well, that should be fallback. That's okay.
I just put it in. I wasn't really thinking about it.
I'm just kidding.
I personally am not a huge fan of fallback. I think Escort Safety is really good because the positioning I generally have in this list is really indicative of playing it.
Fair enough.
Not to mention, like, everyone's still running Helios Laser, and Escort Safety can stop that.
Yeah, one of the few things. You also have so many good convocation cards, you don't need a whole lot of unaffiliated.
Right. Yeah, it's never going to make the cut outside of, like, I know he's playing Helios and the train supports me playing it. Because I know you're going to get somebody eventually if you try to play for it. Because you'll just put your character on top of a line of sight blocking piece of train. And they're like, oh, Helios, that guy. I'm like, yoink, never mind. And, like, they just waste 18 power or something.
So, does that tell you to put a Koye in? You wanted another 2.
I thought about another 2, but I think because my 4s are so strong, I'm just trying to take Wong. I don't need to be trying to take Wong, so I think that's a problem. I think it's holding me back.
Well, in certain matchups, he's great, right? Who else in the game can
Wong
really
is
stagger?
Yeah, exactly. He's such a good 2-pointer in this list. It's insane.
Yep.
It's just that much like Rocket, sometimes not taking Rocket is the right call.
Yeah, everything's matchup dependent.
So do you think I need another 5-pointer so that I'm not taking Ebony Maw when I want a second 5-pointer? Where's my weakness? Because I have 4 3s, I have 2 4s, 1 2, 2 5s.
What have you lost to?
I lost to your Guardians list. I think that's the only game I've lost with this list.
Okay, so what could you have... I think your lessons learned from that were more on positioning as opposed to the roster construction.
My game plan was poor there. But again, that's why that game is one of the reasons I've thought about taking Magic out. Because she didn't really ever have a good opportunity to do anything.
Right, but one game is still such a very small sample size for character performance.
Yeah, I think I've played her 3 times now, and she had very similar performances in all 3 games. And it was almost always like, can I abandon this point to be aggressive? And the smart player in me says, no, I can't. So she never does anything.
Yeah, she definitely wants to be going after people. She's very much... She is Convocations X-23.
Yes. So I think that's a playstyle thing. I just need to be willing to do that. What other 3-pointers have 4 energy defense? Obviously Storm.
You don't want to hear my answer.
Captain Marvel.
Miss Marvel.
3-pointers.
Yeah.
It's Miss Marvel.
Yes. Miss.
Is there nobody else?
No. There is a huge dearth of 4 energy defense throughout the game. The only ones I'm aware of are Miss Marvel, Storm, and Mordo. Those are the only 3. Someone tell me I'm wrong.
That actually sounds correct.
Yep.
I'm just scrolling.
If you're looking at 3-pointers with
in
energy,
the game,
that's it.
You had three, just 3-pointers. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so putting in another 4 energy is not really an option because neither of those characters synergize with the rest of my list.
So I like Enchantress. I like Okoye. I like Toad. I like Fury.
My immediate hesitancy with Enchantress is that I play pay-to-flips, and she's real bad on pay-to-flips.
No argument here.
Not real bad, I guess. She's not good.
Okay, so
she can usually clear 1 is the issue. So she's usually rolling uncontested.
Yeah, still 2 dice, which you're right isn't horrible.
Yeah, it's not a roll I want to make, especially when there's penalty for failure a lot of the time.
If you win priority, are you taking Secures or Extracts?
I'm planning to take secures, but I'm hoping to take extracts.
What are your extracts?
Because if my opponent is like-mindedly playing pay to flips, I'm absolutely fine with that. And then I'm going Alien Ship, Worthy, and Legacy Virus, which I think is non-standard, but I'm also okay playing most extracts. The only ones I really don't want to play are the Fs. Those are the ones I'd like to avoid.
So, I don't know.
Alien Ship, Worthy, Deadly Virus.
I think Fury would be super interesting.
Yeah, I just really don't want to go down that road.
Sure.
I think Fury is pretty close to making my radar, but I really want to avoid playing Grunts because I just think it's a super cheesy way to play Convocation.
Oh, I wasn't. Yeah. Okay. Now it's a super include. I wasn't even thinking about that.
It's pretty fucking busted. That should definitely not work that way.
Oh,
It's to the point where I actually would not be surprised that in the least if it gets changed.
I was just thinking of a way for you to go up on the extract advantage. And on 2 of those 3 extracts, Fury absolutely fits that bill.
Yeah.
Both Hammers and Virus, you get 2. And you can bring back whoever... so is Escort to Safety range 3?
Escort to Safety is, I believe, range 3, yes.
Okay,
yes.
You can't do it without Eyes on the Prize then, which is fine. So your Fury... so if you have Eyes on the Prize, if you're 2 back... or your Toad, you can escort to safety them from your deployment line. It was Strange. So Fury walks up, takes the hammer. Strange is... Oh, no, I was explaining how Strange can Eyes on the Prize, or can escort to safety anyone who is 2 away from the center, without him having to move. So Fury can double move, take the hammer. Strange is sitting directly back from it. You're at that point range 3, so you could... avoid taking any damage from whoever picks the hammer up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't do that, which you don't need to, the plan is just to take both of them, one with the Grunts, one with Fury, and you survive 1 round of being shot, and then you have the tools with either Clea or Strange to bring him back further.
Mm-hmm. You can also play books on the first turn if you really cared, and then just expect them to kill the Grunt. But then they probably won't, so it's a bad idea.
That's still hilarious.
The go-to plan for a lot of people is to do Daredevil because you can Ninja Vanish and guarantee it every turn.
Yep.
Again, and you can just use if you have priority, you can use the Ninja to give Strange one of the books, and then he picks up whichever book they don't pick up if they don't have a Grunt.
Yeah. Again, I was looking at it for more the getting the extract plan rolling versus the cheesy book stuff. I still
generally agree.
The extract plan is the key to MCP. I really do.
Yeah, extracts generally break the tie, so they're kind of the way you should be planning.
They set the game state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say after playing Nick Fury a bunch, it feels that part of the game feels locked down so early. Now I'm just looking at the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Well, it makes it to where your opponent has to come into you, right?
Yeah.
So they're wasting actions moving, and you're just shooting them twice.
Yeah. Yep, it feels super good all the time.
Yep. Do you think they intended for Grunts to dictate the game state so much?
God, I hope not.
Clearly they had to have played a lot of practice games, but it feels more than intended. It feels very, very strong.
Well, in most of the games I played, the Grunt was not the one with it. Like, the Grunt sometimes had one, but usually it was actually Fury. And then he just relocates. Like, somebody pours, some damage into him. He takes 2 damage and then just relocates to the Grunt on the other side of the field. And then it was over. Because there's...
Are you talking about the single extracts?
Yeah, I'm talking about singles, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm just talking about in general. Because obviously, like Aaron was saying, the person who wins the extract battle has the advantage. And so the other person... They have all the tempo. The other person has to come to them. They have to fight uphill. They have to cross ground to make up the difference.
Right.
Or else they're just going to slowly lose.
Right, but I'm saying with Shield, like specifically relocation and the other guy, like that becomes so much worse because usually they pick up the single extract and then they're there, and so your army can dogpile in that turn. But with Shield, it just doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying it works in all extracts, not just the singles. The singles that it does work on are absolutely crushing. It's just like herbs. It's Alien Ship, or no, which one is the? It's the Scrolls doesn't work, right?
I think Scrolls does. The other two
Scrolls
don't.
does. It's
Yep.
Alien Ship and the other
the
one
Senator,
don't. Okay.
it does not.
Yeah, because it does not work on target of opportunity. It works on civilians.
Right.
So yeah, it feels really, really crushing when your opponent just gets such a huge advantage off of a small interaction. And I don't know what you're supposed to do about it. Like, how do you combat it other than also have a grunt character and priority?
You know my answer? It's Mystique.
Mystique.
Yeah. I would like your grunts to come forward toward me a little bit more, please. And then I have Killmonger. Yep, I'd like a free kill on token. With the token position now in a place where you can't get to it very easily. So that's what I'm thinking is my answer in my Shadowlands build, is Mystique and Killmonger.
Mystique's an answer for all kinds of weird shit.
Yep. Now, does it suck having to spend a card just because you brought a grunt? Yeah. But
I don't think you
I
need
couldn't
Killmonger to do that, but
you don't. He's icing on the cake, and I don't know that he gets brought. Mystique could kill the grunts herself.
How is you're just moving and attacking with him?
With who? What?
With Killmonger.
Yeah.
Just because you want the kill count token.
Yes. He's there. Would you like to resummon the grunts? I'd like 2 kill count tokens, please.
Well, it's not a criminal, but if you just take Ghost Spider, she can just advance long, punch him, and then advance to where the token ends up and pick it up immediately.
But then she dies, right?
Because Spider technique, she gets to advance if she's already advanced.
Yeah, I know, but if she picks it up, it's going to be closer to your opponent's edge and get murdered.
Right, but he's talking about doing the Mystique thing to pull them forward. So the model's already on your side of the board. So she's going to walk up, punch him. She'll be past the center line a little bit, maybe straddling the center line.
Do Mystique and Gwen. Okay.
Yeah, Mystique and Gwen. That lets you get the token. Unfortunately, obviously, you can't lifesaver yourself, but...
I'm not sure you can count on Gwen to actually kill the grunts every time.
Not every time, probably not. But she still gets to advance, so you walk up, punch them, they live, you back off.
Sure, okay.
And if you do 1 damage, she's got 2 power, you can webline them again and get them even further up the table.
That doesn't sound good.
But she's not criminal. She's just an amazing character.
Yeah, I'd considered her. She's not in my 10 right now, but I have 2 or 3 spots I can play with that I'm not sure at all where I want to go. All I do know is I'm playing MODOK, because holy shit, that dude is for real.
Yeah, MODOK's good. He was on my short list. I was going to add him in over Ghost Rider, I think, on my convocation list.
playing him in S.H.I.E.L.D. felt fantastic. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But I think just playing him in general feels really good. It's just a lot of factions have... I just think it's a lot of factions have a 5 cost that feels really good. But if you don't, MODOK's a great drop.
I guess now that Tactics cards are less crucial, I could try and look at doing a Convocation Midnight Suns crossover, because I've got a lot of carryover.
What would want to make you play one versus the other then? What's your trigger?
I don't know. Probably losing my scenario options, like if I have to go like 5 wide scenario.
Okay. That's fair enough.
Or if it's just like a murder town scenario, Convocation doesn't really like standing in the middle of the board. I don't know. It's probably be fine either way, honestly. Yeah, I want to sit down tomorrow and put some actual thought into this.
Or just
obviously my roster has a lot of different ways to go, and we can talk about it tomorrow. I'm going to see most of you guys tomorrow.
I was going to say, or just play a bunch of games.
I do want to play a bunch of games, but I want to have a plan going in, because these are playtest games. These aren't just pickup games. So I want to, like, for example, I know that Magic's on the cutting block, and she's taking up a tactics slot in addition to a character slot, and so her staying in the roster makes a difference. And in that case, I want to play her in basically all of the games until I make that decision. And if she feels bad in all the games, she's getting cut, and if she feels good, then she won't. And then I can stop playing her in every game. And so that's why I want to make these decisions feel important to me. It's because it is going to determine how I play my list for the next week or two.
Deal.
Does anybody think that there's a particular affiliation that got the biggest bump due to the cycling? I know it's been pretty popular opinion that attrition list got a pretty big help. Does that mean stuff like maybe Spider Foes is getting a pretty healthy bump?
Yes.
I think Spider Foes, X-Men...
They tend to have really deep health pools already.
And the ability to heal a lot of them.
Yeah.
Carnage at least gets to stay down. That piece of shit. His fucking.
You're
field
never
dress.
gonna forget that.
It's happened to me twice. It's happened to me twice now.
Carnage gets field dress, kills 3 people, and you're like, "Fuck my life!"
And
like,
back to full.
He's so
Yeah,
bad.
back to full.
Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously, because he's killed
Horrible.
3 people.
Fuck that
The
guy.
problem is just about every affiliation can run attrition.
Yeah.
So
Well, they can, but that doesn't make them like experts at it.
true.
Like you can try to play shield attrition all day, but you're not probably going to beat Brotherhood on Researcher.
Well, given certain crisis setups, yes, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Brotherhood, Spider Foes. I don't know.
I was trying to think like what are lists that I never found myself like needing field dressing, like needing the healing. I feel like Guardians felt like that. Like I didn't need that. I felt like I wasn't super mad whenever my characters got dazed. I like a lot of go wide lists. I wonder if Sam Avengers actually gets better. I wonder.
Sam field dressing was cute. I don't know that it was needed.
Right.
But Sam would gladly give up field dressing for you to give up field dressing.
Right.
So that's definitely true. Because he struggled to get the tall characters down because of field dressing in Medpack.
Right.
So that definitely helps.
I think more anonymous lists got better. And by that I mean pick your random 3s/4s to where there is no tentpole character in your list.
Oh, just the spams in general.
Or not. It doesn't have to be a go wide spam. It just has to be. There's no one that is most beneficial to focus down on my team because they're all about the same.
The even, like the leveled out affiliations where it's like everyone's about in the same category.
Right, or pretend even like Steve Avengers with Vision, Beast, Valkyrie, and Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Iron Man's a bad choice because he doesn't throw, but like they're all doing about the exact same thing. Like, I don't care which one you want to try to take out.
Kind of like Spider Foes, like I was saying earlier. They take a bunch of 3s and 4s. They all are pretty good. If you were to look at the graph of their point cost, it's flat, not pointy.
Correct. I think those the flat list, the flat point cost lists, are good. The people who are like, like Thanos. Okay, Thanos is going to die earlier than he has in the past. Because you can't mid-pack him, you can't field dress him. He's just going to take it on the chin. I think in the decision matrix where you attack or ignore, more people will swing to the attack, and it will be successful. And that's just one example, but I think Magneto goes down, et cetera, et cetera. So the lists where you don't have a tentpole character become better. Yeah,
I'm really excited for the Shadowlands Daredevils that I've been running, which is he's the 4 and everything else is a 3 or a 2. And they all have guns. They all just have guns. That's what they got. They're all the same. I think it's going to feel much better.
Yeah, I think I'm running the same thing with MODOK and Vision and potentially Killmonger as my things above a 3. I didn't realize... Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's fine. I was changing the subject. Go ahead.
So I hadn't played MODOK in, like, ever. But I didn't realize his rerolls were unlimited. Like, oh, you've got 7 power? I guess you can reroll every single non-hit you just got.
Yes, it used to be truly unlimited because it was on every roll. Now it's once per turn. I've decided I'm going to put in a Ghost Rider as my 10th character, and I cut Escort to Safety for Deal with the Devil. Because I just thought about it, and I'm like, if I'm running Wong in almost every list, it gives me longevity, it gives me mobility, and it gives me burst damage, which is like the 3 things I want the most.
Okay.
Because if you plain a Poldock somebody and then fucking penance stare them, they're just dead. Like, that guy is deleted. And when there's no field dressing on the board, that's permanent. Like, that guy's gone.
Yeah. I have overkill much?
Yeah, I know. Especially, also, I play Worthy, so why not play the 2 best characters in the game on hammers instead of just the second best?
Jeremy, I have a question for you, because you played a lot of these guys. I was staring at this list the other day. Is X-Force just worse now than either X-Men or Shadowlands Daredevil's Criminals? Because Shadowlands Daredevils does a lot more rerolls if you're trying to get that, and X-Men does a lot more like interesting list construction and mobility. I feel
it's way worse. That's not even a question.
I have a question. Can I answer this question?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes. That's my answer.
Yeah.
It's not even close. X-Force are quickly becoming bottom tier.
Yeah. I was going to mention earlier, like we've been talking quite a bit about Shadowlands Daredevil, the atrocity that they pulled by creating Shadowlands Daredevil while already having X-Force.
It feels like an admittance of defeat. Like, clearly there was a miss. And I was really hard on Cable when he first got spoiled. I have come around to like Cable. He's a solid 5-pointer, I think. He is not a good leader, but he's a okay 5-pointer. That said, this is exactly my argument. How can you compare Shadowlands Daredevil and Cable? Like, in what world are these two models fairly costed?
Yeah.
And not to, like, just the grunt mechanics alone is better than, like, anything Cable's bringing to the table.
It's really a mess. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they tacked him into this little rework when they take care of some of the other things. That would be nice.
Oh, so you're actually thinking there's going to be, like, a lot of changes.
I think there'll be a handful. Why not? If they're going to do a few, why wouldn't they?
I don't think I'm unfortunately leaning towards there's going to be 0. Like, if I had to break it down, I'd say 51% chance there's no updates.
Yeah.
48% chance there's, like, less than 5. And then 1% chance they do more than 5. That's where I'm at right now. But I'm also a negative person, so
I just can't see them letting X-Force stand. I think that's
I can see it.
Biggest joke ever.
How long has Inhumans been the worst affiliation in the game? Since they were printed?
See, I struggle with that. I hate them and I make fun of them and all that. But I don't think they're bad. I just think the wrong like, nobody has approached it the right way yet.
I will say, I played a guy in Omaha, his name was Jeremy, and he clearly had mastered playing the Inhuman list. And I was surprised. He had me on the ropes for a bit. He was really good.
Do tell. I'm curious, because I've stared at those fuckers for so long.
I mean, it's basically Medusa and Miss Marvel try to carry the list, and then you have to take Ronan and the Power Stone as a mana battery, and it's just the rest of them are just kind of there.
Problem is,
that's a lot of fucking points.
all of those lists got hammered because no one took field dressing better than Ronan.
I don't know. I would argue Magneto was better, or the Hulks were better. But yeah, I mean, he certainly was majorly impactful, for sure. Yeah, I mean, getting hit by Ronan 3 times is definitely worse than getting hit by him twice.
And by hit, you mean staggered? With an 8 dice? Yes.
I mean, yeah, like, he's walking in. If you've got Super Mana Battery on the whole game, he's walking in and just, like, walloping a guy. Then you try and retaliate. If you succeed in downing him, he retaliates again and gets field dressed immediately. So your option is now, do I get hit by him a 3rd time this turn? Or do I just let him contest the fucking point? And this is assuming he didn't daze anybody in this process of throwing 16 dice at you that auto staggers.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, Ronan's solid in that respect. The problem is, what a lot of people tend to do is just fucking ignore him. And that's when it becomes difficult to use, because he's a 5-pointer that doesn't do a whole lot if you just fucking ignore him.
Well, he judges your whole team.
He does judge some people, which is not ideal. But if you straight ignore him, just like go to the other side of the battlefield, he has to like abandon the point he was supposed to hold. And so you can get him and like be annoying, but yeah. Also, potentially some lists can control him pretty hard.
I was going to say, he doesn't have anywhere to stop control.
Yeah, the problem is he's not overly mobile. Mm-hmm. And he's expensive. Like, a 5-pointer when Ronan was printed is not the same as a 5-pointer today.
Yep. Parker, when you said your...
Today. Go ahead.
when you said your Black Order list, I didn't hear Supergiant, and I was disappointed.
Oh, yeah, she got played. She was in the list.
The
first game she was played, and she didn't really get to do anything because I needed somebody to take a point, and that wasn't like heavily contested. It was a D deployment, so she was in the back, and she's kind of sitting in the back, getting a fuckload of power, ready to pounce and ruin somebody's day, because slowly, as everyone else was getting dazed. It was a 20-point game, and he played very wide, and so I was just getting tons of power on her as everybody else was murdering. Really funny thing though, he had to play around Blood Despair because he finally decided I need to go get Super Giant off that point. So he sent someone in there, but he only had one attack, and so he goes, oh shit, if I down Super Giant, nothing happens. I go, nope. Do. He's like, oh, huh. because he didn't have any throws or anything, so all he could do is one shotter. And if he did, I would just play Blood Despair, heal one, and be theirs anyway. And so
you hope he would heal one. You could flip your dice.
That's right.
He does have to deal damage.
Yeah, she does have to deal damage, but he didn't like that idea. Kind of like the thing you said about the new Winter Guard,
Crimson Dynamo.
It's not that it will happen; it's that it could happen, and then they go, ugh.
You're not gonna walk into like a fucking feels bad moment like that.
Right. You don't want to do that. So,
you know what really feels bad is Super Giant in Winter Guard.
Yeah, that feels pretty good. I liked Super Giant. She was cool. It was not really the best scenario for her. That's one of the reasons why I'm staring at the Black Order list, and I would like to talk to you guys about this tomorrow. Also, is I do not know what the other models are in Black Order. I feel like Shuri should be one, but I don't know. I really don't know. Right now, it was yesterday, or rather, when I was playing on Monday, it was Shuri, Groot, and Rocket, because I like Groot and Rocket's tactics cards in the list. But I really had a hard time taking both of them, so it was kind of hard to do that. It was Shuri, Groot, Rocket were the three others, but
Toad and Okoye.
Toad is a great random drop in.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't hate probably just more 2-pointers. I also wonder if I don't know if Black Swan should be a 5-pointer. I don't know.
I think you will find she is very different at 4 points.
Yeah.
In Black Order, I think she's 5, but that's with no testing. So
yeah, same.
Okay.
The amount of options and early threat she poses as a 5-pointer versus a 4-pointer is very different. Because if she's threatening, it's like, oh, I'm going to wait till turn 2 to charge, and then hopefully deal damage with my builder. Like, that's her plan on turn 2, versus on turn 1, she's hoping she deals damage with her builder. Like, it's a very different game. Mm-hmm. Actually, she doesn't even care. She just fucking eye-beams you anyway. Like, whatever.
Also placing Black Dwarf at the same time if you want to. Like, if you want to give Black Dwarf that kind of early game positioning, you can. No,
she is incredibly impactful, especially on pay-to-flips.
Yeah, she is.
Because turn 1, she's like, advanced charge flip. Like, it's not even a question.
Yeah. I think she's really good on Bravos. Because
yes,
she sits on hers, and turn 2, she's got 6 power to charge and spend her, and follow that up with whatever you want. Hopefully you've just dazed the person that was on their back point, and now you own it.
Yeah. For sure.
Anyway.
I like it a lot. And we've established she has limitless ways to spend power, so yeah, having more is never bad. Can you really not afford to like downgrade a 3-pointer to Toad to get that Power Stone? It feels worth it.
Yeah. Oh, I played a point down in my second game, and I still felt fine. Like it was, I played 17 points in an 18-point game, and I was like, this feels fine. That was the very first time I'd ever done that, by the way. I'd never once played a point down, but I was like,
I think I've done it a couple times.
I've done it a lot. Mm-hmm. Also, without affiliation.
See, what I find
on camera
that Richard likes to do is play up a point. He finds that very edgy.
Yeah, he's really good at that.
Fuck that guy. Fucking Richard. I hope you're listening, Richard. Fucking cheater. It's okay, he'll message you the next week like, oh, sorry, man, I was playing up a point. Like, fuck you!
So
stop playing up points!
So is it Toad and Okoye because Okoye is generically good and Toad is generically good? Is that the idea? What does it do for them?
They give you bodies, and they're cheap, good investments.
I think you want to focus on as many Black Order characters as possible.
Right.
They're doing what you want them to do. I don't think you need anyone else. So Toad's there to obviously grab an extract if you need to, so your Black Order can just go kill everyone. And if you don't have a great extract to go steal, then Okoye gets to follow Corvus around and make sure he doesn't die.
You did Mind in Space on Thanos, Parker?
Mm-hmm.
And Ebony Maw naked?
Ebony Maw's naked, yeah.
I think that's probably the right call. I've seen a lot of people doing Space on Ebony Maw, and then it's Mind and Soul on Thanos, I want to say.
Yeah, that's not a terrible idea. Having a 6-point Ebony Maw is actually, for the list construction, a little bit easier. But What I need to do is sit down at every point level and really figure out how many.
Yeah, math it out and see what feels good. Cool. Well, it sounds like we're actually going to have a full house tomorrow, so hopefully everyone shows up.
I'll be there at 11.
Nice. I was about to ask you that. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. Hopefully you guys had a good time. This has been Brandon.
And Dr. Mandis Toboggan, MD.
Jeremy.
And Aaron.
And this has been Parker is in Limbo.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
Yeah, we did it. Guys, we actually did it.
Damn.
I'm actually excited.
All four of us.
We started recording.
That took way too fucking long.
You could say it was fantastic.
Parker, I have something to tell you that you don't know, and Jeremy can vouch for this. Aaron thought I was fucking with him when I told him that we had to clap. He was actually refused to clap because he thought it was a joke.
I actually wanted to know what he thought of the clap. What did you think of the clap? Obviously, you spoiled it a little bit, but what did you think?
So I come from 20 years of hazing in a military environment, right? So anytime you're new to something and told to do X, I've learned you do not do X.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, no, not doing it.
I'm not.
All right, Aaron,
I'm not
Aaron,
collecting.
you're gonna want to press the brake now. He's like, nah, dog, I know better.
I'm not collecting the
Turns
bucket of
out-
steam. I will not polish all of the apples, and I will not mop the freezer. All of those things are bullshit. Okay.
I've mopped a freezer before.
I mean, so I'll give you one example, just from my history. So there's a pitot tube at the front of an aircraft, which if you don't know, it intakes the outside air.
I know what that is.
Great. So there's a little tube at the end of the aircraft for whatever it does. So you get your students, first time they ever go out, you tell them that they have to blow into the pitot tube to clear it from debris. So they're sitting here, kneeling down in front of the aircraft, blowing into a metal tube, which clearly they do not need to do at all. But it's hilarious from everyone who knows better, watching the students try to blow as hard as they can into this skinny metal tube.
Also, it's called a pitot tube, which sounds like a pedo tube, which is even better. I like that.
I'm working with children. All right. I'm very excited. Are you guys as excited as I am?
One level below.
It doesn't. I think I'm a lot more excited than you, based upon your tone of voice and your general facial expression. I think I could be considered many times more excited than you. But go
Many
ahead.
factors.
Yeah, many quantums, many quantas. Yeah.
You probably just don't understand how much punishment we have for you for last week. Don't worry, we'll get there.
Yeah. We started thinking about it. So I broached the topic of what your punishment should be for missing last week in multiple ways, because not only did you miss Wednesday, you also missed Friday. So that's like a double miss. That's 2 in a row also.
It's epic. That's epic.
That's a trend of behavior is what people in like HR want to call it.
Cereal.
Parker
If
looks
he was
very
a killer, he'd be
excited.
cereal now.
I gave about half-second thought to this conversation earlier.
And then you realized how terrible it was going to be, and you're like, I don't want to think about that.
No. What I thought was, at first I thought, man, I know there's going to be some consequence on the podcast. They're going to give me some shit for it. And then I thought, but nothing could actually compare to that night. I'm not scared of anything anymore. I'm so like, the whole time I was doing it, there was never a moment when I was like, man, I feel really bad. The whole time I was like, if they were here, they would slowly back away from this house and just be like, if you both could like have the ability to just like come on over, to be like, if you were my neighbors and you were to walk on the door, I don't even know if you would have been able to knock. You would have heard the screaming and you just would have stopped your hand and then just slowly backed away and podcasted some other time. Like that's
Clearly,
what
I've not told you enough about my childhood. That's just like a Wednesday.
That's true. That's true. I'm not saying that you would be shocked by it, but I would think, I think you would understand that I was occupied. However, I understand that there are consequences. There are consequences for fate, and so I must meet them. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm hoping that my monstrous bet I made helps me a little bit, but
Oh, this is gonna more than wipe out the bet.
This is bad.
This is bad.
This is like shameful. Like we were like.
I mean,
this
I
is
opened the
not-
bidding with just double your current episode count. That's what I opened the bidding with, and then we started negotiating from there. Parker looks very sad.
Just when you thought you were going to break out.
He's like,
Yeah.
I was making headway, guys. I chipped away. He was at like in the 980s for a while, right? He got 30
Yeah.
of those episodes going.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
I was down pretty
5K
low
does
because
seem like a lot.
I took the bad bet. Remember, I took the bad bet
That's true.
to
hedge, yeah.
to hedge my bet. Mm-hmm.
The quadruple vig, you didn't know about that, did you? That was going to be bad. I wouldn't have done it. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
we need. Maybe the punishment is we just start including interest. So every week he has to pay a 5% interest
Yeah.
over the episodes he already has.
What terrible loan sharks with interest. That's terrible.
That's how loan sharks
I know.
work.
I know, but I didn't take any
Hey,
loans.
you don't pay them back
It's
the
a-
same
Wait,
amount of
hold
money.
on. No, that's what I'm saying. This is not a loan shark with interest. Actually, I have never once displayed my ignorance. Why do I say display my ignorance? I didn't even know what hedging a bet was until you explained it to me a couple podcasts ago. I have never bet anything on anything ever, so I don't even know. Do bookies collect interest? Is there interest on bookies, or is it just your bet you made? You have to pay back. Is it common
Usually
that bookies
there's-
pay interest?
I'm not familiar with like individual bookies. Like I know how like actual corporations do it. I would
Yeah.
imagine that if you owe your bookie a certain amount of money for a duration, there is some kind of vig or interest.
Mhm. Okay.
And obviously, loan sharks is generally an interest-based thing. We've lost Jeremy. He's gone.
Yeah, he just pieced out.
I should have stopped for liquor on the way home.
Why? Are you like dry?
I mean, I don't have anything, but mostly I'm in the mood.
Are all those bottles empty?
I mean, no, I have hard liquor, but I'm not really in the mood to just straight drink hard liquor. I mean, I could pour some of this vodka into my water glass and, like, I could get drunk. I don't know that that's what I want to actively do. I've got this, does anybody else do this? Just never throw away stuff that's expired? Like, Parker, do you know, yes or no, are you supposed to refrigerate lemon juice or lime juice?
Yeah. Yes.
Pretty sure I'm reasonably confident you are as well. So I've had this bottle of lime juice sitting on top of my refrigerator for at least 3 years.
That's
like,
terrible.
I just don't throw it away.
That's
I
the
don't
opposite
know
of
why.
refrigeration.
Not what they mean when they say refrigerate.
Yeah. In fact, the top of a refrigerator is actually warmer than most of the room, so I don't think you're doing it right.
I'm noticing that as I picked it up, it is quite warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says here contains 100% juice, so it's not like fake stuff.
Oh no. I mean, what's growing in there? It would have a hard time because the huge acid content, the huge sugar content, bacteria.
Oh yeah, you could. There's a bit. Yeah, this looks viscous. I
Yeah.
would say.
What's
That's,
funny is that
lime
actually
juice reduction.
I don't know if you would
Yeah.
actually find a lot of bacteria or
no, it's been
microorganisms
sealed.
inside.
Yeah.
You would probably just find, it would just be horrible. It would just be
Yeah.
awful. It would just taste.
So on top of that, this particular bottle expired October 25th of 2020. So it's also over expired for like a year and 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's 18 months expired and was not refrigerated during any of that time period.
Is this going to be post ramble?
Yes.
I had
this
some-
is
I had
this
some.
is pre-ramble.
I
which
heard
happens
some
before
really
the
exciting
post-ramble.
stuff from another podcast that this is actually news, that not something exclusive to this. I just heard it on another podcast. But it wasn't a podcast for MCP. It was a podcast for the MCU. I thought you guys would find it fascinating, but this might contain spoilers for Doctor Strange. Do we care about spoilers for Doctor Strange?
Multiverse? I think
Yeah,
we're
for Multiverse
past
of
that.
Madness. Can I just talk about Multiverse of Madness to our audience as if they've seen it?
Aaron, have you seen the movie?
Not yet, but you can still go ahead.
Oh well, that's just terrible. I don't think I can do that. that's just the worst. It's one of the key moments of the movie, and one of the key plot points of the movie.
But
I
tell you
want
what,
you,
I'll
tell
take
a
off my
quick-
headset, and you can give me a thumbs up when you want me back on.
Well, I was actually just going to tell a quick story about a friend of mine who had an interaction with another friend. And so they were having game day at his house. So we had like 5 people over to his house to play War Machine. And they got to talking, and this was right when Games of Thrones first season had just come out. So the first season had ended like 2 weeks prior. And so the guy's like, oh man, that scene with Sean Bean's character. And he goes, oh wait, I haven't seen it. Please don't spoil anything for me. He's like, oh, right. And then like 3 minutes later, he's like, I can't believe they just like cut his head off and on the TV. And immediately everyone in the room's like, dude, like he asked you specifically to not. And he goes, oh no, I was talking about Lord of the Rings. Like,
Oh, yeah.
to play it off. I was like, yeah, that moment when Boromir gets his head cut off. You fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I always thought that was hilarious.
That's good. I'll just say this then, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything. I don't think I'm spoiling anything.
He took his headset off.
Oh, he did? He did it anyway. Okay.
He did.
Well, this is what I'll say. I found this very fascinating. Did you know that because of COVID, that the order of all the recent stuff got completely scrambled up, and that they had to do massive rewrites to specifically Doctor Strange, but a lot of other stuff too, because Multiverse of Madness was actually supposed to come out before WandaVision. Doesn't that make that a very different? Doesn't that make that a very different story? WandaVision was supposed to be a redemption arc for Scarlet Witch off the deep end. Multiverse of Madness was not originally about Scarlet Witch trying to find her children. It was about Scarlet Witch trying to bring back Vision. And in the original script, she's searching the multiverse for other versions of herself that did not lose Vision, and finds a version with children, and then seeks out the children, and that's why she invents children and the Vision in WandaVision.
That is so much better.
Isn't that so much better?
Jesus Christ, that's so much better.
Yes, and that's so much better. Also, because of COVID and all this rearrangement, they had to reshoot a ton of both things, WandaVision and Doctor Strange. They had to reshoot a bunch of it, and they couldn't get Olsen to do all the stuff for Multiverse of Madness because she was shooting something else, and all the rigmarole that was on her schedule specifically was so bad. She kind of vowed she feels like totally frustrated and done with the Marvel MCU. So the reason why they killed her character at the end is partially because that she said, I think I can't do this anymore. Like, because of the way that you have interrelated all these stories together and intertwined them so much that as soon as there's one scheduling conflict, you have to rewrite everything in the universe. That's too much. I can't be a part of that. So she's basically said, I'm out because of how difficult that is. Interesting. So this was because of COVID messing all that up and WandaVision coming out first. It completely changed that story. And your first take on it, Jeremy, was my first take. Was wow, that would have been a much more compelling version of the story if we saw Wanda first and getting, we saw her going off the deep end right after, everybody gets their stuff back. What do they call it? When everybody gets blinked back. The blip. After the blip, everybody comes back except Vision, and then she's just so like heartbroken. So she searches for any answer, finds one, and then is willing to do anything to get it. And then you see her rehabilitation, and we get to see her more as a hero because they did not want Scarlet Witch to leave the MCU, but because of all this, they killed her in the Multiverse of Madness because Olsen said, I'm not going to do this anymore. So really interesting.
All right, I'm telling Aaron to come back.
Yep.
And then they cut Ned Stark's head off.
Uh-huh.
All right, so Parker just rambled for like 12 minutes. We told him not to repeatedly.
It was not 12 minutes. I counted 7.
You had your timer.
It was 7, yeah.
Can't keep a good
I'm using it.
down.
I'm using it. I'll tell you the story after you see Multiverse of Madness, Aaron. I'm curious to hear what you think of it. I'm curious.
Well, now he's going to listen to the podcast and hear it. So
no, he knows. He knows. He knows never to listen to his own voice on a podcast. He knows.
I did it for the first time last week. I was a little surprised
at like how you sound or
how quickly I spoke. Holy balls!
He did basically sprint. He was just on meth and speed at the same time. Yeah, it was actually kind of hard to tell what was chewing sounds and what was you talking, because the rate at which it appeared very visually similar on the audio track, and so it was really hard for me to edit. I can't believe I didn't miss more, or I cut out a lot of you speaking, one of the two.
Oh my god.
Yeah, basically once we wrapped the podcast, we went to the post ramble. You didn't stop chewing the entire time. I don't know what you were eating. It was like a bowl of pine nuts or something. I don't know.
It was Chex. We even talked about it ahead of time.
It was
It's
Chex.
a bowl of rice. I was like, oh, that's actually my bowl of Chex.
Oh, I didn't know you said Chex. I just saw what looked like a bowl of rice behind you. I didn't know you had Chex.
You're like, this. I'm gonna have to edit all this out. This is gonna take forever. You're like, but I'm really hungry. You're like,
I
please
can't
stop.
believe-
I'm really hungry.
I cannot believe I didn't notice it was happening in the moment.
I didn't notice it either.
I know I didn't because, and then I talked to him about it. It was because Discord has a built-in noise cancellation. It will filter out a lot of the generic noise, which is a lot of what I do with my audio editing. But I didn't notice it at the time. I should have realized he was eating. I didn't even think about it because I've told you guys so many times no eating on the podcast.
When I heard the thing, all I can imagine is just slowly, one chip at a time, just
like,
mouth open. Arf, 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 arf,
arf. Like, it's like aggressive biting into charcoal. Like, what is happening on your end of the fucking microphone?
It reminded me of Fight Club. Remember when he's on the phone and he's eating chips or whatever and he won't even listen to him? Oh my god.
I haven't seen that movie in forever. Oh boy. Yeah, I have to stop myself from fidgeting. I have these poker chips here that I shuffle throughout, like, just days of sitting here.
Ugh.
And so, is
Yeah,
this
that's
quite
pleasant.
loud and annoying?
That's
Yeah,
pleasant.
that's very loud. Ugh.
Yeah,
I
so
I
have
don't
to
think
put
they'll hear
those
that.
away.
You're probably not
Yeah.
going to pick that up.
It's not going
Yeah,
to show up on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
think
that's
you'll be
like-
fine.
So anyway, we were talking about just sitting here and shuffling poker chips. Is that a big... Okay. All right. Boy, I'm suddenly tired.
Suddenly.
All right, so I have some vodka, I have some Woodford Reserve bourbon, and I have some Kraken. What should I do? What should I drink?
Bourbon.
You should throw away your vodka. I will get you some better stuff. And drink...
I actually have some decent vodka. It's not great, but it's pretty good.
I guarantee my...
It's not. Yeah, I'm sure it is, but this is not great. This was a gift, but I have not gotten through very much of it. I usually only drink this though. I'll go to like Sonic and get a slush, and then like I'll drink a quarter of it, and I'll fill it with vodka, and then I'll drink like half of it, and I'll put more vodka in it. It's like you just slowly turn up the temperature on the vodka as you reduce the drink.
So vodka is the one alcohol I can't ever drink. Because...
I'm usually like that with whiskey, honestly. Any whiskey, I don't know. It didn't used to bother me, and then I got way too drunk on it one time, and now I just have like a horrible gag reflex every time I drink it.
Yep, I drank a fifth of vodka when I was about 17, and that ended poorly.
Yeah, I got super drunk at my cousin's wedding. That was a pretty spectacular day for me. Someone decided to leave me in charge of all the young children. I walked into a room and I was so fucking hammered, I didn't know where I was. And they're like, "Here, Brandon, you watch the kids." And they just walked out of the room. And I was like, "Oh no." And there's like 13 young children in this little closet at the wedding. They're trying to keep them away from like the party. And I don't remember what happened, but I woke up about an hour later asleep on the couch. And they're like, "Where are the kids at?" I'm like, "I have no idea." Like, felt so bad.
Well, I mean, I imagine you were the only one who was, I don't know, sober at all. So they're like, you get to be
I
in
was
charge.
completely trash. I like almost blacked out sleep. Not like I took a nap. Like I did not know where I was. Yeah, it was a brutal night.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Also, the update, I did not make it through all of Peaky Blinders. Season 5 started boring me, so I had to wiki it, and I was like, I have to find my favorite character, and if he comes back, I will keep in. If he does not, I'm leaving. So, thumbs
Does he
up.
come back?
Thumbs up. He is apparently back at the end, and then he goes into the next season. So, I might just go to the last episode, like at this point, because it's all the same shit over and over.
That's
So-
the exact same thing happened to me. I got like halfway through season 5. I was like, I just don't care. Like
Mhm.
none of this is interesting.
Yeah, it's just so much of the same, and like He was so much better in the first season where he was just kind of a dirtbag in the middle of a bunch of dirtbags.
Yeah, and then he's like a governor. Or so, I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
like he's
He's like
some
some
sort of
like
political-
state official, and I'm like this is way less interesting. Like,
No.
anyway, I don't know. I feel a little removed from MCP. I do want to play games, but like I've been wanting to play a lot, and I haven't been able to get that many games. So I need to be more active in trying to get games.
I'm free on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Just gotta let me know.
Nice.
Let me see. Let me check my schedule. Monday. Wait. Also Tuesday. Wednesday. All of Thursday. Friday too. Saturday. Yep. Sunday.
Are these
Yep.
your COVID hours?
Yes. Once baseball stops, I'm definitely available for Monday. I'll be up there on Mondays again.
Okay.
Finishing
Well,
baseball.
Mondays I do stuff, so it's harder for me to get games on Mondays because that's the only day I get to play UFS. So
Gotcha. Well, Monday will be the day I'll try and drum up business there then, because that's my day.
okay. All right, you guys ready to get started?
Let's do it, man.
Oh yeah.
All right. So our order we talked about, it's going to be Jeremy, and then let's do for introductions. It'll obviously be me because I do the intro, and then it'll be Jeremy, Parker, Aaron, and then we'll keep that same order for reviewing topics, except I'll go last instead of first. Does that make sense?
Hold on. Wait. What? I thought we said it was Jeremy, Aaron, Parker.
I don't know. I think it's better to keep the same order we used to have.
Okay. Jeremy,
Does that make
Parker,
sense?
Aaron, Brandon.
Yeah, because that's the way we always used to do it was me first for the first intro, and then it was Jeremy, Parker, and then once we got into topics and it wasn't introduction anymore, I would just move to the end. And so basically we would start with Jeremy. So the order was always the same if you look at it like a circle. And so, I mean, if you want to move somewhere else, that's fine.
Are you talking about when we start the podcast? You're talking about that.
So no, the start of the podcast, I think is obvious. Aaron goes fourth because he's the new guy.
Okay.
That just so that way we just keep our original order.
Okay.
And that's I'm just saying keep the original order for everything else too. I guess Aaron could just go last at all times. That's the easiest.
So Brandon goes first, Parker, Jeremy. But I thought you just said that you normally would let Jeremy talk because we are longer winded.
Yeah, but we've been doing a bad job of keeping to that schedule is kind of my point.
So it's
Like,
all
normally Jeremy's supposed to go first when we talk about topics, but we've stopped doing that lately because we kind of just have a natural flow that we started doing. But because of that, Jeremy hasn't been talking very much lately.
So I'm going to put on here Brandon. I'm rearranging playing currently, so this goes in order. Brandon.
Well, this is only for the this is for the specific podcast open.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So normally I won't go first.
Give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay. What?
For the podcast opening.
I'm not worried about the podcast open. I'm mostly worried about topics.
Okay.
Podcast open will basically be normal, except Aaron goes last, so it'll be
That
me,
makes perfect
Jeremy,
sense.
Parker. Yeah.
But you're saying you don't need that to be consistent. I thought you were intimating that you wanted that order to be the order we always use just to make it consistent. But if you're saying you'd rather go different order, that's also fine. I'm just asking.
I don't want to go first. I want Jeremy to go first when we do topics, because if Jeremy doesn't go first, we tend to take what he was going to say, and we're the longer-winded ones, so we usually find other stuff to talk about.
So usually,
And so I would.
go ahead. I'll let you finish. I don't want to interrupt you. I want you to finish your thought.
I think the flow works best if Jeremy goes first on topics.
I think that's true. We had talked about Jeremy, Aaron, me, you is what we talked about in topics.
Okay, that's fine.
Done.
Jeremy, Aaron, Parker. Okay, everybody on board with that? Aaron, you know where you're at.
Yes.
So you're basically you'll just follow Jeremy when we're talking about stuff. The reason I said that we should rearrange it is because it's very different than our introduction, which is why I said we should change it.
Deal.
Because it's confusing that there's two noticeably different ones.
Got it.
Okay, moving on. All right. All right, I don't have a title yet, so I'll put one in when I have one. What,
Hi,
Parker? What are you doing?
I got one.
Your hands off screen.
I got.
Oh, you got one?
I
Go
got.
ahead.
Look at my
Parker.
elbow. My elbow's right here.
Your elbow is the title?
Yeah, no,
Alright,
my elbow is not the
Parker.
title.
Okay.
I was going to say the four of us get fantastic. Was what I was going to say.
Oh,
About
that's stupid.
9 months
God.
premature.
Damn it.
That's why
Parker's
I'm calling
a
it.
big Fantastic Four
I
fanboy.
know.
One of the reasons we punish him so much.
I'm calling it now.
The gang gets fantastic
Yep.
because there's 4 of us.
Yep. That's what I was going to say. Yep, that's better. Do it.
Well, it's not official yet. This is a trial run to see how the flow is. To make sure that 4 people's
I
not
don't
too
think
many.
I don't think that's what Aaron thinks. I think Aaron's pretty sure.
Aaron does think that. We talked about it before he joined the podcast today.
Pretty sure no. Not to be
See,
contrary,
Parker,
but,
this is like why we punish you so much, because you just can't agree with, like, earlier today we were like, we spent 5 minutes talking about the order in which people would talk, and then as soon as we got everything leveled out, which was, by the way, the way Parker wanted to do it, and then he immediately goes out of order.
Agree to disagree.
Okay. All right, Parker, how about this? Why don't you tell me what you think your punishment should be?
That is not the way punishment works.
I think that's part of the punishment.
You need to father better, because it is a wonderful technique.
Yeah. What do you think is an equivalent punishment for your actions here?
What's a punishment?
Punishment that fits the crime. Remember, we're talking about you here.
You don't want to know what I think. You really, I really don't think you do, because I don't think a person should get anything for circumstances that were already negative. I don't think that should be so. I don't believe in punishment twice. That's actually a big thing that I don't believe in. So
Double punishment.
yeah, I already would have rather been here with you guys having a great time. I'm really glad that Aaron's now a part of this. It's a really cool, like, cherry on top of this otherwise crappy situation I had last week. There were 2 times that I would have loved to be there. On Wednesday, I wouldn't want to have been in that situation. And Friday, I was really upset that I wasn't here to talk about all the great news.
Mm-hmm.
I was even more upset when I found out Aaron was going to be here, because I think that was an awesome idea. So 100% honestly, I don't like getting punished twice. I know that for the sake of you guys, and you want to let me have it. I get it. I knew I was getting some licks. But if you want me to tell you what I think I earned nothing. I think I earned no punishment. That's my personal opinion.
Strong.
Man, he's really squirming.
He's
This
trying
is
real
gonna
hard
be-
to talk himself
Yeah,
out of this
what
one.
we were talking about, double it. Fuck that. No, he's not. Double it. Also, can you make your dog pee on the bed again? Or is that like
That's
just
the
a random
punishment. You have to do it again.
Yeah.
thing? Do it again.
I don't think I could ever make that day happen again. I don't think that's possible.
Certain things are one of a kind.
There's
was
so
a
many
one-off.
times I've wanted McSunny references this episode.
That was a one-off.
So many times.
That was a one-off adventure. Is what that was.
Mm-hmm. I scoured the internet for dad jokes. I couldn't find a good one. So Parker, as your punishment, I'm going to tell you a bad one.
Okay.
What do you call a person that's missing 75% of their spine? A quarterback. It's terrible. I didn't even like it. It's not even.
Oh,
like,
you
badly
immediately
good. It's
discounted
just
it as
bad.
soon as you said it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's real bad. It's obvious. That's why it's bad. It's not clever at all. It's really dumb. I got tired of looking after about 20 minutes though. All right. Well, that's gonna get it for us today. What should we call this episode? I don't like Parker's elbow. It sounds real bad.
Parker faces the music.
But I didn't. There was no music.